torrential rains triggered flash floods, and Shinzazhou was in charge of the rescue efforts. I chose to hang up on him and escape on my own, because in my past life, I begged Shinzazhou in tears to save me, but his beloved Gumanman drowned in the flood instead. Shinzazhou went mad, drowning his sorrows in alcohol all day, calling out her name in his drunken dreams, and turning his fists on me. It wasn't until I found out I was pregnant that Shinzazhou finally came to his senses. He took care of me with meticulous attention, even suggesting we go on a trip together. I was overjoyed and eagerly anticipating the arrival of our child, but he heartlessly pushed me into the sea. Shinzazhou held me down underwater with all his strength. If it weren't for you, how could Man have died? I'll make you experience the terror of drowning too. You and that bastard in your womb will both pay with your lives for Man. Before consciousness faded, all I saw was his vicious glare. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day the flood broke out. The rain poured harder, and I trudged through the murky, raging floodwaters toward the rally point. But the next moment, I froze in place. Up ahead, Shinzazhou leaned into the balcony, carefully lifting Gumanman out and placing her onto the rescue boat. She clutched at Shinzazhou's sleeve, sobbing, "Zhou, you're finally here. I was so afraid I'd never see you again." Shinzazhou tenderly lifted her face and kissed away her tears. "Don't be afraid, I promised I would always protect you." Lost in passion amidst the pouring rain, Shinzazhou held Gumanman tightly in his embrace as they kissed. They finally broke apart, gasping for breath after what felt like an eternity. Gumanman's face flushed a deep crimson. Shinzazhou turned away awkwardly, but froze when his eyes landed on me. "Wen Ning, why aren't you staying put at home instead of causing trouble out here?" He snapped angrily, cutting me off before I could speak. "Why didn't you answer my calls? Do you have any idea how worried I was?" "Worried?" I forced a bitter smile. "In my past life, Shinzazhou called me right after the flood hit, asking about my family's situation. I was so panicked and disoriented that I couldn't even detect the indifference in his voice. I just begged him through tears to save me. The front door was blocked by the flood and wouldn't budge. So I had no choice but to take shelter on the balcony." The floodwaters quickly rose past my chest, filling my mouth and nose. Just as I was on the verge of despair, Shinzazhou finally arrived. Though belatedly, frowning deeply, he escorted me to the assembly point and left without looking back. I thought he was concerned about the disaster victims, but he was only going to find Gumanman, his long-admired crush who had secretly come. The torrential rain poured for 3 days and nights, and he searched outside for just as long, without rest or sleep, until he finally collapsed on the scene from exhaustion. It wasn't until the floodwaters receded that they found Gumanman's body, caked in mud. Downstream, Shinzazhou, undeterred by the body's decay, painstakingly cleaned off the mud, then held her and wept with heart-wrenching sobs. The flood-soaked body had to be cremated, so he brought the ashes home. After that, he drank like a madman every day, clutching an empty bottle and calling out for Man over and over. He even pinned all the blame on me, hurling insults and beating me. I curled up and endured it, telling myself that he was the one who saved me from the flood. I didn't realize I was 5 months pregnant until I collapsed and was rushed to the hospital. In the end, Shinzazhou actually held me underwater, drowning me alive. "You and that bastard in your womb will both pay with your lives for Man, but aside from being his wife, I was also a victim within his rescue jurisdiction. Why should my child and I pay with our lives?" The memory of drowning in seawater and that suffocating feeling sends chills down my spine. Never thought I'd run into Shinzazhou during my solo escape in this second chance at life. Struggling to steady my trembling body, I explained, "The flood wiped out my home, and there's no cell service," Shinzazhou said in a calm voice. "The water's rising fast out there. Get on the boat first." Behind him, Gumanman was lying in the middle of the 6-person rescue boat. She weakly propped herself up and said, "I was too scared earlier and lost all my strength. You take this spot. I'll get up right now. Just lie still," Shinzazhou murmured softly, patting her back to soothe her back to sleep. When he turned to look at me, his brow furrowed almost involuntarily. "All right, grab the handle beside you and be careful." I let out a self-deprecating laugh and did as I was told, clutching the handle tightly to avoid being swept away by the flood. As they walked, Gumanman rested her head affectionately on Shinzazhou's shoulder. "Zhou, our home has been flooded." In an instant, everything became clear to me. Why did Gumanman, who was supposed to be in the neighboring city, sneak over on the very day of the flood? Turns out she had been living in the neighborhood next door all along. She even kept it from me and had a home for just the two of them. I lowered my head with a bitter smile. Those suspiciously long shifts must have been spent with Gumanman. In our past life, Shinzazhou intended to save her too, but I was closer, and he couldn't shirk his duty as a husband. That's why Gumanman missed the rescue and drowned in the flood. Shinzazhou comforted Gumanman softly. The house is still standing, the floodwaters will recede soon. But you designed and decorated it all yourself, it's full of our memories. I'll help you redecorate one more time, whatever style you like, we'll make it happen. Hearing them talk like a real married couple made my heart ache with bitterness. When Shinzazhou and I were decorating our new home, he said he trusted me and never once interfered from start to finish, so it turns out he just didn't care. In a daze, a sharp pain shot through my back as a thick iron rod struck me from behind, staggering forward before I could regain my senses. Shinzazhou grabbed my arm and shouted, "Wen Ning," he scolded me angrily, "What are you doing? Did you just rush over to get me killed?" "Ah," Gumanman gasped softly, covering her mouth, "that house, sis, are you jealous? I'm sorry, we didn't mean to hide it from you, we were just worried you'd be upset if you knew. Don't worry, Zizhou loves you the most, Zizhou, isn't that right?" Gumanman said while shooting Shinzazhou a meaningful look. Shinzazhou released my arm with visible disgust. "You're actually getting jealous at a time like this, typical only child, so used to being selfish that you can't understand the bond between siblings. Let me make this clear, Man's mother died saving my father, she is my sister, and I won't abandon her just because I'm married." Shin Man stood behind him, tracing her swollen lips, still tender from their passionate kiss. My back throbbed with pain as I retorted, voice trembling, "What kind of brother kisses his sister like that? I guess I really don't understand that kind of bond." Shinzazhou furrowed his brow tightly. "Wen Ning, what's with the sarcastic tone? The situation was critical, I was just comforting Man. How did you become so vile?" Clearly, he and Gumanman crossed the line. How could he be so self-righteous? Shinzazhou, am I overthinking? Or is there something wrong with you too? If it weren't for the flood, you would have already ended up in bed. Before I could finish speaking, a wave crashed against my face. On the rescue boat, Gumanman clung tightly to Shinzazhou's neck. "Zizhou, this is terrifying, let's get out of here quickly, the rain is getting heavier." Shinzazhou paid no further attention to my disheveled state, smiling gently at her instead. Out of her sight, Gumanman shot me a smug smirk. I closed my eyes, my clenched fingers digging into my palms. In 3 more days, once the floodwaters recede, I can leave this city. By the time I reached the rally point, I was numb all over from being soaked in the flood. As the rescue team leader, Shinzazhou was assigned a private break room. He carried Gumanman into the room ahead of me and placed the supplies we received into my backpack. As soon as I entered, I saw Gumanman lying on the clean bed with her arms exposed, winking at me. "This bed is actually quite comfortable, Wen Ning, let's share the bed and have Zizhou sleep on the floor." Watching her put on that innocent act, I murmured under my breath, "You two sleep, I'll go outside." "That won't do, this room is for you two as a couple," Gumanman said weakly, sitting up. "Sister Wenning, please don't worry, even if I take off my clothes, Guangzhou only sees me as a little sister. I'll go outside right now. Please don't be angry, okay?" She pulled back the covers. One arm draped across her chest, the peaks of her breasts faintly visible beneath. Shinzazhou's Adam's apple bobbed as a dark glint flashed in his eyes. He strode over and wrapped her tightly in the blanket. He glared at me coldly. "Wen Ning, Man meant well, don't be so ungrateful." I instinctively stepped back, the movement jostling my backpack and sending a sharp pain through my injured back, leaving me drenched in cold sweat. But my pained grimace only angered Shinzazhou. He snatched the backpack and shoved me out the door without another word. "You had your chance and blew it, now you're on your own out there." The relentless sound of rain and sobbing filled the air as I huddled helplessly in the bare corner, my soaked clothes clinging to my skin. After enduring a night of hunger and cold, I was told the supplies had already been claimed when I went to collect them the next day, just as I was reluctantly filtering rainwater. Gumanman approached with 2 men in tow. "Wen Ning, I really owe you one for that purified water. I feel so much better after my shower. Don't look at me like that. I brought this water just for you. Go on, have a drink." The water bottle Gumanman was holding was tainted with disgusting strands of hair and soapy foam. I tried to flee, but the men she brought forced me to my knees and pinned me down. Gumanman grabbed my chin and poured filthy water into my mouth. I fought desperately, knocking over the bottle in the chaos. She suddenly slapped me hard across the face. "You bitch, you've ruined my dress." I was on all fours, retching violently and coughing my lungs out. "You brought this on yourself," Gumanman sneered, tilting her chin arrogantly toward the 2 men. "She's quite the seductress, a real man-eater. She's all yours now." The 2 men let out lewd, mocking laughs. I recoiled in terror, trembling as I begged, "Gumanman, I'll give you anything you want. I'll divorce Shinzazhou, leave this place today." and never show my face around you again. Please, just let me go. Gu Man Man narrowed her eyes, leaning in to whisper in my ear. Too late. Who told you to overestimate yourself and marry him? His mother was just about to accept me. If you hadn't shown up out of nowhere, I would have been Zhou's wife. Wen Ning, who do you think you are? How dare you steal my man? Since you're so desperate for a man, I'll give you one. Look at yourself, reeking like a stray dog from the garbage dump. I won't rest until I've dragged you through the mud. She stood up, crossed her arms, and glared at me with pure malice in her eyes. A man's greasy, grimy hands groped toward my face. Don't be scared, pretty thing. The boys will give you a real good time. My clothes were torn open violently, the pungent stench of their bodies making me nauseous. I screamed and struggled desperately, crying out for help. My attempts to claw and kick were thwarted, so in desperation I sank my teeth into the man's throat, clutching his neck in pain. He rose and stomped down, shattering my knee. You bitch, how dare you bite me? I'll break your damn legs. Trembling from the agony, I glanced at the raging floodwaters below and shut my eyes in grim resolve. Just as I was about to jump in despair, footsteps suddenly echoed from outside. Gu Man Man tore her clothes off without hesitation. Shen Zhou's voice rang out. Who's there? Zhou. I came to bring water for Wenning, but she actually said that and then just poured it all out. Shen Zhou looked at the scattered water bottles on the ground, kissed Gu Man Man's forehead with a pained expression. You're just too kind-hearted. Someone as selfish as her would never shortchange herself. Giving her water is just a waste. Gu Man Man shook her head and unintentionally exposed her shoulder, which indeed caught Shen Zhou's concerned attention. How did your clothes get torn? Her eyes welled up with tears as she shook her head fearfully, shrinking into Shen Zhou's embrace. I accidentally tore them myself. It has nothing to do with Sister Wenning. Shen Zhou frowned and looked at me with disgust upon hearing this, clutching my tattered clothes. I staggered to my feet as my vision blurred and darkened. Gu Man Man, you forced me to drink what was clearly bathwater. And you're the one who tore my clothes. She cut me off abruptly. Weeping with pearly tears streaming down her face, Sister Wenning, how could you slander me like this? I know you're angry that Zhou treats me well, and I'll leave after the flood passes, but why couldn't you wait just a few more days? You can insult me all you want, but Zhou is right here, and you couldn't wait to get involved with another man. If you're going to hurt him like this, why did you even marry him in the first place? My eyes widened as I stared at Gu Man Man, who was turning the tables on me, and I frantically tried to explain. It wasn't me. I don't even know these two people. Shen Zhou gripped my neck in disgust. It's only been a few days since I last touched you, and you're already this desperate. Choked and unable to speak, I shook my head with difficulty. She brought them, to assault me. I wish I could, kill them. He glanced at the blood at the corner of my mouth, then at the man bleeding from his neck nearby, a flicker of doubt in his eyes. The man I had bitten suddenly spoke up, his eyes fixed intently on me. Miss Wen, you were the one who seduced us first, then offered us 100,000 to ruin her reputation when you got caught. How dare you deny it now? Shen Zhou roared in fury. Get out. The man left with a sinister expression. Gu Man Man wept and pleaded from behind Shen Zhou. Wenning, I didn't mean to interrupt your moment, but I couldn't just stand by and watch you betray Zhou. Now you're so furious that you've sent them to ruin me. If they actually, I'd rather dash my brains out right here. She made a move to crash into the wall, but Shen Zhou caught her in his arms, finally pushed beyond endurance. Shen Zhou kicked me to the ground and shot me a look of pure disgust. If anything happens to Man Man, I'll make sure you pay with your life. I knew you were selfish, but I never imagined you could be so vicious. You won't take this seriously unless I teach you a lesson. I couldn't help asking him. He dragged me to the emergency exit and locked me tightly to the stair railing. Torrential rain poured down from the rooftop, and murky water slapped against my face in waves, gasping for air. I hoarsely begged him, Shen Zhou, I'll agree to the divorce. I'll never appear before Shen Man Man again. Please just let me go. His departing footsteps halted as he turned and slapped me hard across the face. You'd actually divorce me for those two adulterers. He clearly didn't care about me, yet my mention of divorce seemed to strike a nerve. Shen Zhou forced my head into the murky water, and though I struggled desperately, my strength gradually faded. A surge of blood gushed from between my legs, instantly staining the stagnant water on the stairwell crimson. All right. At the sight of the blood, Shen Zhou panicked and instinctively pulled me out of the water, holding me tightly. Seeing my shallow breathing, his face went pale. Aining, what's wrong? I'll take you to the doctor right now. Gu Man Man also froze in place, her eyes darting before she suddenly burst into tears. Joza, did Wenning have a miscarriage? Why was she so foolish? Why didn't she tell you she was pregnant? Shen Zhou froze in place, then in the next instant, He dragged me out of the stairwell in a furious rage. My forehead hit the corner of the wall, and blood from the wound gushed down, blurring my vision. The pain contorted my face. "You're carrying someone else's bastard," he roared, kicking me viciously in the stomach. "Wen Ning, you're utterly shameless." Blood splattered everywhere as I screamed in agony. "No, please don't. This is your child." Shen Zizhou kicked me mercilessly again, looking down at me with contempt. "You're still lying to me. You hid your pregnancy from me. How could this bastard possibly be my child? In my past life, I had no idea I was pregnant. In this lifetime, I never got the chance to tell him, especially since I had planned to raise the child alone." My body grew colder as I curled up in the pool of blood, struggling to explain. "He really is your child. If you don't believe me, you can take a paternity test." Shen Zizhou gripped my neck and sneered, "A paternity test? Are you trying to humiliate me even further? Do you want the whole world to know you've made me a cuckold?" "Wen Ning, the floodwaters will recede by tomorrow. After the rescue team's commendation ceremony, I'll deal with your two lovers myself. As for this bastard child, you'd better pray it's already miscarried, or I won't hesitate to make sure you can never have children. I won't tolerate any gossip spreading. You'll stay here these next few days to atone and reflect on your sins." Shen Zizhou locked me back in the stairwell, scooped Gu Manman into his arms, and walked away without looking back. After the flood receded, the rescue team received commendations from both municipal and provincial authorities for their heroic efforts. Shen Zizhou, as the team captain, was extensively interviewed by journalists. 3 days later, Shen Zizhou was being interviewed by the nation's largest television network, radiating confidence and pride. Off camera, Gu Manman waited for him with a bashful smile, yet during breaks, his gaze kept drifting toward his phone, a subtle restlessness flickering in his eyes. During the interview, an urgent message came through: "The Assembly Point building has collapsed." Shen Zizhou abruptly stood up, staring at the host in disbelief. "What did you say?" The host was startled by his intense gaze and quickly said, "Please stay calm. Everyone at the assembly point has already returned to their homes." Noticing his dazed expression, she quickly addressed the camera to smooth things over. "It seems Captain Shen truly has the victim's best interests at heart. He's clearly moved by this news." Shen Zizhou turned and strode out, his unsteady steps nearly knocking over the equipment. Gu Manman saw him about to leave the studio and hurried over at a light jog. "What's going on? This is the nation's largest TV network. Walking out on a nationally famous host like this will reflect poorly on you with management." She frowned in disapproval, grabbing his hand to pull him back toward the studio, but Shen Zizhou gripped her arm tightly, his eyes bloodshot as he pressed her for answers. Man, was it really just fireworks you booked with your card yesterday?" Gu Manman's face flashed with panic before she broke into a delicate sob. "Zizhou, what are you implying? Of course I ordered fireworks. Your mother's birthday is coming up, and I just wanted to make her celebration more joyful. Do you think I'm the one who blew up the Assembly Point building? That's under your jurisdiction. Why would I do such a thing? Or do you actually believe I'd try to harm Wen Ning?" She spoke through tears, her voice trembling with hurt. "You're hurting me." Shen Zizhou immediately released her arm, noticing the vivid red marks his grip had left. He absent-mindedly rubbed the spot, his thoughts clearly elsewhere. "I'm sorry, that's not what I meant. It's just that building was the designated meeting point, and it's only been 3 days since the flood. I'm worried someone might have sneaked back and gotten trapped in the rubble. The hotel room is still booked. Feel free to look around and buy anything you like. I need to head back to the rescue team." Ignoring Gu Manman and the staff's attempts to stop him, he turned and left without hesitation. The road washed away by the flood hadn't been repaired yet, with debris and wreckage still scattered along it. The slow progress was making Shen Zizhou increasingly uneasy. He clenched his fists and anxiously pounded the steering wheel. Finally, he took out his phone and called the team members who had arrived at the scene. "What's the situation on site?" "Prioritize checking the emergency exit on the east side." Over the phone, the team member's voice came through the noisy background. "Don't worry, Captain. No trapped individuals have been found so far. I'll head to the east side right away." Shen Zizhou wished he could rush to the rendezvous point immediately, but by the time he arrived, hours had already passed. The moment he stepped out of the car, a team member ran up to report, "Captain, we found the body of a young woman at the scene, losing control." Shen Zizhou grabbed the team member by the collar and stared at him intently. The team members were alarmed by his unusual behavior and quickly led him to where the body was. The scene was in ruins, and the suit he had specially prepared for the interview was now covered in mud, yet he paid no mind to it. Catching sight of the body from a distance, Shen Zizhou staggered, nearly losing his balance. He was only a few steps away. Yet his legs felt as heavy as lead, rooted to the spot. A ringtone cut through the air as the team member handed him the phone. We've identified the victim, female, 25 years old, surname Wen. Shinzizhou's gaze went vacant, staring at his teammate as if deaf to the words. His legs finally gave way, buckling beneath him as he collapsed to his knees, voice cracking. I was just furious that she dared to betray me. I wanted her to reflect on what she'd done. I would have forgiven her if she'd just apologized. Captain, the deceased, it's not your wife. Dazed, he turned and stumbled toward the corpse, brushing the hair away from its face. The moment he saw the dead woman's face, he finally let out a sigh of relief. Shinzizhou searched every corner of the building but couldn't find a trace of me, finally succumbing to the pressure and calling off the search. No sign of me alive. No trace of my body, even in front of Shin Man. He would often stare blankly at our wedding photo. It wasn't until Man casually suggested I might have eloped with someone else that he remembered to deal with those two men. That day, Man, dressed in a seductive nightgown, clung delicately to Shinzizhou's arm and said, "Zizhou, your aunt's birthday is this weekend. How are you planning to handle the celebration?" He jerked away abruptly, pressing his fingertips hard against his brow. "You figure it out. I still have unfinished work to deal with." Behind him, Man crumpled the clothes into a ball and pounded the bed in bitter resentment. A few days later, Shinzizhou brought his mother to the birthday banquet venue. The venue was dazzling with lights and filled with flowers, complete with a dedicated host and photographer, far more luxurious than my humble wedding. The guests arrived early and gathered in small groups. Mrs. Shin is truly blessed. Her son is both successful and filial. If my son were like that, I'd be laughing in my dreams. Exactly. They even got interviewed by national media. Their future is truly boundless. Mrs. Shin, dressed in a classic qipao, made her way to the head seat amidst the guests' flattering remarks. Man, arm in arm with Shinzizhou, stepped forward to present her birthday gift. "Auntie, these are jade earrings I bought at an auction. The color complements you perfectly." Mrs. Shin smiled, but her curved eyes gleamed with a mix of condescension and smug satisfaction. Several aunties nearby quickly chimed in with praise. "Such a fine piece of ice jade, must have cost a fortune." "How generous, Mrs. Shin, this must be your daughter-in-law, right? We heard she graduated from a top university, bringing you such an expensive gift. What a thoughtful young lady. She and Zizhou make such a perfect match." "She's not." Mrs. Shin's detached remark threw the secretly delighted Man into disarray. The aunt, having unwittingly caused a misunderstanding, offered an awkward smile before slipping away. Meanwhile, two suspicious-looking men darted past the banquet entrance. Shinzizhou followed with a grim expression. He failed to notice the sudden appearance of two naked, entangled figures on the large screen. In the video, Man took Shinzizhou's hand and placed it on her breasts, her voice dripping with seduction. "Zizhou, that woman has already filed for divorce. Why won't you agree? Were you lying when you said you would marry me? Is someone getting jealous?" Shinzizhou teased, giving a playful squeeze that drew out a delicate gasp. "Since she dared to wrong me, she'll have to pay the price." Did she really think I'd let her walk away that easily? Who knows what kind of spell she cast on my mom? But if mom likes her and she's good at taking care of people, why not keep a free nanny around? Man let out a soft laugh, playfully hitting his chest as she whispered, "You're awful," before leaning in to plant gentle kisses by his ear. "The air conditioner is set so cold. Could you warm me up please?" Shinzizhou suddenly flipped over and pinned her beneath him, squinting his eyes. Where would you like me to warm you up?" Man. The scene grew increasingly indecent, with suggestive sounds instantly filling the entire birthday banquet hall. The guests gasped in unison as they clearly saw the video playing on the screen. Good heavens, that must be the Shin family's son. What a disgraceful scandal. No wonder Shinzizhou's wife never showed up. She must have known all along. This is basically marriage fraud. Tisk. Mrs. Shin is such a renowned, exemplary teacher. How could she have raised her child to turn out like this? The guests who were just flattering them moments ago began to whisper and point fingers. Mrs. Shin was taking her anger out on Man. "What are you just standing there for? Haven't you embarrassed us enough already? Go get someone to turn it off." Overwhelmed with shame, Man went to find a waiter with her eyes red and teary. Meanwhile, Shinzizhou lost track of the person when he followed them to the restroom, and in frustration, he punched the bathroom stall with a grim expression. "Are you out of your mind?" The startled neighbor came to confront him, but upon seeing his face, made a strange expression and left without a word. Shinzizhou returned to the hall baffled, growing increasingly irritated by the guest's subtle yet unmistakable stares along the way. The face on the screen, identical to his own, made his breath catch in his throat. the once orderly hall descended into chaos, with the eerie sound of heavy breathing echoing in the background. The video cut out abruptly after Shin Zizhou found the manager. While the guests' murmurs and pointing grew increasingly loud, "He looks all proper and respectable, yet he's cheating, what a disgrace. I heard that woman lived with the Shin family as a child, basically a child bride arranged by old Mrs. Shin for her son. How shameless to get involved with her while ruining an innocent girl's life." Mrs. Shin's lifelong dignity was utterly shattered today. In a fit of shame and rage, she hurled a set of cutlery at Shin Zizhou. "You beast, look what you've done." Blood gushed from his forehead as he violently overturned the table. "Get out, all of you, get out. This farce has finally come to an end." Shin Zizhou knelt on the ground, his eyes red-rimmed as he confronted his mother. "Tell me why. Man and I aren't even blood related. We grew up together since childhood. Why can't we be together?" He clenched his fists tightly, unsure whether he was trying to convince others or himself. "I never wanted to marry Wen Ning in the first place. It's Gu Man I've always loved. Besides, her mother died trying to save my father. Even though Dad didn't make it in the end, you shouldn't take it out on her." "Enough." The old lady finally snapped and swung her hand to slap him. "You can be with anyone but her. She's the daughter of the man who killed your father. Her mother got what she deserved. If it weren't for her, your father would still be alive." A red handprint swelled on Shin Zizhou's cheek, but all he could ask was, "Mom, what do you mean by that?" The elderly woman slumped into a chair, exhausted, and began to speak with difficulty as memories flooded back. "Gu Man was my student, and your desk mate no less. That year, during the parent-teacher conference while I was speaking on stage, your father was down there hitting on her mother. Later, he even wanted to divorce me for her. When I refused, they planned to run away together. In the end, they met a tragic end. Both died in a car accident." Shin Zizhou shook his head in disbelief, murmuring, "That can't be true. You must be lying to me. If that's really what happened, why did you let her live in our house?" She looked down at the stunned Shin Zizhou and let out a scornful laugh. "Later, when you found out Gu Man was going to be sent to an orphanage, she kept pestering me day and night for a meal. I took pity on her at first. She was just an unfortunate child who knew nothing, but she turned out to be just like her wretched mother. After ruining your father, she's now set on ruining you too." As she spoke, the memory of that betrayal came flooding back, her eyes reddening with fury. "Shin Zizhou, you're grown now and beyond my control. If you choose to be with her today, then consider me no longer your mother." In the end, Shin Zizhou chose Gu Man because she was pregnant. A few days later, Shin Zizhou finally uncovered the truth about the banquet video. "They were the two men Gu Man hired to assault me." After that day, they kept demanding money from Gu Man. In desperation, she threatened them by bringing up Shin Zizhou. But when they saw on the news that he was a rescue team captain, they brazenly played the video at the banquet. "Zizhou, I was wrong. I was just jealous that you married Wenning. I love you too much." Gu Man knelt on the ground, sobbing as she clung to Shin Zizhou's leg. "Don't call me." Shin Zizhou looked at her coldly, as if he had never truly known her, disgusted by the thought of what she had done. After all these years together, and she's carrying his child. To avoid facing Gu Man, he made excuses to work late shifts at the rescue team every day. The incident at the birthday party was posted online, and the gossip went viral instantly. The rescue team removed Shin Zizhou as captain due to misconduct allegations. The new captain took charge quickly, but the team members who used to respect him now shamelessly dumped all the grunt work on him. With both his personal life and career hitting rock bottom, Shin Zizhou turned to heavy drinking. He was eventually fired from the rescue team after a drunken misconduct incident. "Honey, I'm craving lychees. Could you pick some up after work? Love you." Seeing Gu Man's message, Shin Zizhou scoffed and slipped his phone back into his pocket before turning to buy alcohol. He twisted the door open, saw the empty bottle still scattered across the living room, and simply sat on the floor to drink. When the alcohol ran out, he staggered to the bedroom, kicked the door open violently, and grabbed the person on the bed by the neck. "Wen Ning, this is all your fault. Why couldn't it have been you who died?" Gu Man jolted awake from her nightmare and, in a frantic struggle, grabbed the vase from the bedside table and hurled it at Shin Zizhou. It was a handmade keepsake they crafted together for their 3rd anniversary, which Shin Zizhou insisted on placing by the bed right after they got married. "I once picked it up to compliment its uniqueness, only to be sharply scolded by him. Now, the vase that symbolized their love lay shattered over his head." Shin Zizhou winced in pain, clutching his forehead as Gu Man hastily fled. But she froze at the doorway. The video had gone viral online, and now she was universally condemned with nowhere to turn. In the end, she crouched helplessly in a corner by the door, listening to the agonized moans coming from the bedroom. After what felt like an eternity, Shinzajo stumbled out unsteadily. His eyes widened with shock and disbelief at the sight of Gu Man. Man, but you're not, aren't you dead? Gu Man's eyes were filled with terror. Shinzajo suddenly realized something. Pounding his head in frustration before finally distinguishing between dream and reality, Man, I had too much to drink. I thought you were winning. Gu Man saw the clarity in his eyes and tearfully poured out her fears. Shinzajo gently patted her back, pressing his cheek to her forehead to comfort her. Don't be afraid, didn't you say you wanted lychees? I'll get you some later. Okay, do you want them sweet or slightly tart? Trembling, Gu Man nestled into his arms and whispered in a coaxing tone, anything is fine, I'll love whatever you buy for me. But little did she know, this was only the beginning of the nightmare. When the Assembly Point building collapsed, the impact knocked me unconscious beneath a huge rock, and I was rescued by a passing doctor. After waking from a month-long coma in the hospital, I stayed on as a volunteer. Those fulfilling days became my healing process. A time to mourn the child I never got to meet. Never did I expect to run into Shinzajo at the hospital. When I turned my head and saw Shinzajo staring straight at me, reeking of alcohol. He leaned against the operating room wall, looking as disheveled as a homeless man. When he saw me stop, his face lit up with joy. Thank goodness, you're alive. I searched for you at the meeting spot for so long. I thought something had happened to you. I didn't want to engage with him. Just wanted to leave quickly, but he grabbed my forearm. Where have you been these past 2 months? Why haven't you come home? Do you even remember I'm your husband? I tried to shake my arm free, but he held on tight, and I spoke coldly. Shinzajo, we're divorced, you and I are done. His face darkened, brows furrowing. What nonsense are you talking? When did we ever get divorced? I shook my head with an amused smile, reminding him, to be precise, we were never legally married. You used to claim you were protecting my interests, saying you didn't want me to be left a widow if something happened to you. All that talk about not wanting to tie me down was just an excuse. The truth is, you only wanted to go through with the wedding ceremony, Shinzajo. That marriage certificate was just a paid fake to fool your mother. How could you take it seriously? A flicker of guilt crossed Shinzajo's face before he gritted his teeth and said, we had a wedding and we've been living together. That's a common law marriage. I won't agree to a divorce. You're never leaving me. If what we had was a common law marriage, then what do you call whatever you did with Gu Man? I slapped his hand away with force, scoffing, when you locked me in the stairwell to die. She came flaunting the silk handkerchief my mother gave me, a keepsake from her, only to have it stained with your disgusting bodily fluids. His expression froze, and just as he opened his mouth to speak, the doctor cut him off. Mr. Shin, the patient is showing signs of a potential miscarriage. We need your signature. Shinzajo blurted out, that's nonsense. I barely touched Gu Man's stomach with minimal force. How could she possibly miscarry from just one hit? Even when Ning was completely fine, Shinzajo had indeed regained memories from his past life. The doctor subtly rolled his eyes and explained that the mother and fetus had incompatible blood types, making hemolysis likely, especially given the considerable force of his blow. The child has type A blood, but both he and Gu Man have type O. Shinzajo finally realized the child wasn't his. In a fit of rage, he brutally attacked Gu Man right after she left the operating room. Doctors shielded Gu Man and saved her life, but she was left with permanent leg disabilities and lost the ability to bear children due to severe injuries. Shinzajo was taken away by the police and ultimately sentenced to 10 years in prison. Before the execution, Shinzajo asked to see me. Through the glass, Shinzajo's eyes were bloodshot, his face haggard. When he saw me enter, he tried to stand up, but his hands, cuffed to the chair, held him in place. He was rambling incoherently about our child, trying to get me to come back. That bitch Gu Man betrayed me first. She was carrying someone else's bastard and tried to trick me into raising it. When Ning, I know she was the one who framed you back then. You're the one carrying my child. Help me find a lawyer, and once I'm out, we'll build a proper life together. Alright. I clenched my fists and stared at him coldly. Shinzajo, what makes you think I would ever help you? As for the child, you beat him to death with your own hands. You don't even deserve to mention him. He froze, finally remembering how he had personally kicked me until I miscarried, not stopping even as blood pooled beneath me. In an instant, Shinzajo looked as dazed as a terminally ill patient, sobbing and repeating I'm sorry over and over. I didn't pay any attention and walked away without looking back. I want to move to another city. It's time for me to leave the hospital. The doctor who saved me that day is named by Xingyu, and he works at First Hospital. When I thanked him after regaining consciousness, he jokingly said all he wanted was a bouquet of flowers. Just as I was holding the flowers to say goodbye, he pulled me into the duty room before I could speak. Wen Ning, I've got something amazing to show you. Bai Xingyu carefully pulled a tabby cat from inside his coat. Right after we got married, I had a cat too. It wasn't long before Shen Manman saw it and begged to take it home to play with. Shen Zizhou sent the kitten over against my wishes, only to tell me a few days later that it had fallen ill and died. I was furious seeing the clear signs of abuse in the photo, but he insisted it was just an illness. I never kept a pet again after that. Too happy for words, the mother cat brought this one to me herself. Bai Xingyu waved his hand in front of me, his smiling eyes visible even through the mask. I snapped out of my daze, avoiding his intense gaze, and hesitated before speaking. Dr. Bai, actually, I'm already married. He froze for a moment, placed the kitten on his lap, and said quietly, I know, I overheard you mention the divorce that day. I also know about the child you lost. None of that matters to me. The only person I care about is you. I was planning to confess my feelings to you later, but it seems you figured it out already. He looked up at me holding the kitten. His ears flushed with nervousness. I crouched down to meet him at eye level. Dr. Bai, I need time to move on from my last relationship, and I hope you'll also give this more careful thought. Could we both take some time? 2 years later, I lay back in a rocking chair on the prairie, planning my next destination, posted a screenshot of my flight ticket on social media with the caption, Youth knows no price tag, flying straight to Lhasa. Over the past 2 years, every time I visited a new place, I'd post a few photos, and every single one of them got a like from Bai Xingyu, but this time, there was an extra comment. What a coincidence, what a coincidence. Mind if I join you? Wen Ning, a voice came from above. I rose from the rocking chair and looked up with a smile. With the blue sea and sky stretching into the distance, it's time for me to embrace a new chapter of life. Story 2, in my past life. After my husband jumped off a building, he left behind a 20-page suicide note. Every single page was filled with accusations and resentment towards me. Everyone said I was the one who drove him to his death. My mother-in-law hated me and kicked me out of the house. My son hates me and cut all ties with me. After a lifetime of toil, all I got in return was serves you right. When I opened my eyes again, I'd returned to the day my husband asked for a divorce. 1. On the day Shinmaji filed for divorce, I was still arguing with a vegetable vendor over a missing 10-cent coin. He came home from work and stumbled upon this scene. He was dressed in a neat Zhongshan suit, wearing silver-rimmed, round glasses. Although he was getting on in years, the fine lines around his eyes only made him appear exceptionally mature and composed. Yet, when he looked at me, his brows furrowed into a knot, and his gaze was filled with nothing but disdain. Seeing his displeasure, I had no choice but to drop it. I followed him back home. The moment the door closed, he exploded. It's just 10 cents. Was it worth arguing with him for so long? How many times do I have to tell you? Why must you always nitpick and be so aggressive? His angry voice reverberated through the room. I kept my head down, nervously clutching the hem of my clothes. Then I looked up with an ingratiating smile. Maji, Mom's medication is running out. Could you give me a bit more for living expenses this month? I'm completely strapped for cash. I ventured cautiously. Shinmaji visibly grew more irritated. Money, money, money. That's all you ever talk about. Is money really that important to you? He slammed the briefcase down on the table with a thud. Zhao Qing, I've had enough of you. Let's get divorced. My head jerked up as I stared at him. A sudden wave of dizziness washed over me. As fragmented memories flooded in, I realized I'd been reborn, too, in my past life. When Shinmaji asked for divorce, I stubbornly refused. We'd been married for 20 years. I manage the household, discipline the children, and care for his ailing mother. What gives him the right to ask for a divorce? I argued with him like a madwoman, screaming that he was a heartless ingrate. The sound of dishes breaking was a daily occurrence, making our troubles known to everyone. The whole neighborhood has been watching our drama unfold every single day. No matter how much I protested, Shinmaji remained adamant about the divorce. Suspecting he had another woman, I started tailing him in secret. Sure enough, I caught him red-handed. He's gotten involved with a female colleague from the same workplace. In the cafe, he was chatting animatedly with that woman, his eyes sparkling. The woman covered her mouth with a graceful laugh. At that moment, I looked down at my 5-year-old. Faded shirt, their laughter cut deep into my pride. I lunged at them recklessly, throwing punches in blind rage. Still seething afterwards, I wrote a formal complaint to Shinmaji's workplace. I just can't accept this. Why was I the one enduring hardships with Shinmaji when he amounted to nothing? As he climbed the career ladder, he treated me, his devoted wife, like worthless trash. After the whistleblowing letter, both Shinmaji and the female employee received disciplinary actions. Later during the layoffs, both he and that female colleague got laid off together. He wanted to start a business with that female coworker, but she turned him down. That female employee somehow got her hands on my whistleblowing letter. Who knows what she told Shinmaji? After writing a 20-page suicide note, Shinmaji jumped off the building with the incriminating letter. I was once utterly captivated by Shinmaji's literary talent. Yet when his literary brilliance manifested across these 20 suicide note pages, I clutched the suicide note with trembling hands, my body racked with chills. 20 pages of final words, each character and phrase a scathing indictment of me. He hated me for marrying him, for tormenting him all these decades. He resents me for refusing to divorce, shattering his perfect romance. He loathes me for filing that report, ruining his promising future. The suicide note ended with these words. If hell exists, may you burn in its flames for eternity. Everyone says I drove my own husband to his death. My mother-in-law threw me out of the house, and my son cut ties with me. After a lifetime of toil, all I got in return was serves you right. 3. Memories flooded back as I glared at Shinmaji, my eyes burning with nothing but hatred. Shinmaji's expression remained stern, his look of disdain undiminished. Zhao Qing, stop pretending to be virtuous. You should have known this would be the outcome when you pulled those disgraceful stunts. I wiped my tears and let out a scornful snort. What exactly do you find so shameful? Is it me haggling with vendors to save money, wearing the same faded clothes for 5 years, looking disheveled while doing laundry and cooking for the whole family, or me tirelessly caring for your sick mother over 10 damn years, under my relentless questioning? Shinmaji's face betrayed a flicker of guilt. Enough. Stop talking. What's the point of saying all this now? He pulled a document from his briefcase and placed it on the table. Then he laid an envelope stuffed with cash atop the file, pushing it toward me with one hand. Here's the divorce agreement, and my compensation for you. I picked up the divorce agreement and looked it over. Everything was his, except for the apartment, which was allocated by his company and couldn't be divided. The kids and all the assets were his. All I got was a measly 1,000 yuan in compensation. Life has worn me down over the years, leaving none of my youthful bloom. My hands grew coarse, my eyes and brows showing every year of my age. I stole a sidelong glance at Shinmaji. He's always been handsome, and with age comes that dignified maturity. Now promoted to director, his demeanor radiates nothing but composure and ease. Perhaps this is how he drove me mad in our past life. I'm desperate to prove that this broken version of me exists solely for him, for this family. In the end, I was the only one moved by my own efforts. I'm truly exhausted. In this lifetime, I refuse to be entangled with him any longer. I placed the divorce papers on the table. When I looked up again, my eyes burned with determination. Shinmaji, I need 20 grand. For, what did you say? You need 20,000. My mother-in-law came rushing out, when Shinmaji and I went inside to argue. She remained silent in the inner room the whole time. Zhao Qing, you've got some nerve saying that. All these years, you've been taking advantage of my son, living here rent-free while he's the one supporting this household. 20,000. You might as well take this old woman's life while you're at it. Her scowling face now showed no trace of illness whatsoever. Shinmaji was also glaring at me with a furrowed brow. I couldn't help but sneer inwardly. Shinmaji's monthly salary these years was 600 yuan, yet he only contributed 100 yuan to the household each month. Out of this 100 yuan, over half goes to my mother-in-law's medicine, not to mention our son's living expenses, groceries, utilities. Whenever money runs short, I ask him for more. He just stares at me in silence, brows furrowed. Only after I frantically tallied up my recent expenses would he grudgingly hand me a few dozen yuan. After his promotion to director, his monthly salary reached 800 yuan, not counting year-end bonuses. 20,000 was a fortune, but he managed to scrape it together from various sources. I didn't show any nervousness, just spoke calmly. Shinmaji, don't you forget, you only got this job by taking my father's spot. Now that you've been promoted, you think you can just brush me off. I wonder if your conscience can handle that, Mrs. Shin was about to say more, but Shinmaji stopped her. Give me some time. My gaze was even steadier than his. Get me the money within a month, and I'll sign and leave immediately. 5. After Shinmaji left, his mother turned on me with a vicious expression. Zhao Qing, I thought you were obedient and sensible, but you're just shameless trash. After all these years of taking advantage of my son, he's giving you enough face, yet you push your luck demanding 20 grand. Listen here, you won't get a single penny as long as I'm alive. I rolled my eyes inwardly but maintained a sorrowful expression as I replied, Mom, how could you think that of me? I only asked Maji for that outrageous sum to scare him off. I'd never actually divorce him. Perhaps my tone was too convincing. Mrs. Shin's expression shifted immediately. She held my hand with a motherly expression, offering gentle advice. Good child. I always knew you weren't that kind of person. Take my word for it, you can't force fate. It's better for you both to part ways. Some things are just meant to be. Seeing my distressed expression, Mrs. Shin dropped her suspicions. That very day, I packed my bags, ready to head to the countryside and escape the hustle and bustle. I've already witnessed her shamelessness in a past life. I treated her like my own mother, yet she treated me like a free servant, humiliating me at every turn. I desperately begged her to stand up for me. But she just coldly and heartlessly said, it's all fate. After Shinmaji's death, she manipulated public opinion to pin all the vile accusations on me. She won't be able to control me anymore. 6. The house fell into sudden silence after everyone left. I drifted into a drowsy sleep, slumped in the chair. In the dream, Shinmaji lay battered and bloody, his lifeless eyes glaring at me with pure hatred. It's you. You're the one who caused my gruesome death. The old woman clutched a cleaver, staring at me with venom in her eyes. You took my son from me. I'll make sure you join him in the grave. I woke up in a cold sweat, startled from my nightmare. I rushed to the mirror in panic. Thank God, I'd been reborn. There's still time. My life shouldn't end in misery. This time, I'll live for myself. I deserve all the beauty this world has to offer. After washing my face, my son Shannon happened to come home from school. He saw the divorce papers on the table and became visibly agitated. Mom, are you divorcing Dad? To my surprise, his eyes lit up with excitement after hearing my reply. Then he spoke tentatively. What about me? Would you take me with you? You and your father? I don't think I'm imagining things. Shannon visibly relaxed after I finished speaking. In my past life, after Shinmaji's death, all his savings were taken by his mother. I could only support my son's education by selling roasted sweet potatoes on the street. Several times he walked past my stall without even glancing back. He looked down on his street vending mother. So when he received his college acceptance letter, just when I thought our hardships were over, he publicly severed ties with me on the spot. He said he hated me, blamed me for killing his beloved father. He wanted me to experience the agony of losing a loved one too. The day I was thrown out, I wandered the streets in a daze. Had I been hit by a car, no one would have even claimed my body. Even now, the agony of death still sears through every fiber of my being. Mom, when are you moving out? Shen En's words snapped me back to reality. I didn't respond, and he assumed I was too upset to talk, so he didn't press further. He just mentioned there's a school social event these days, so he's staying at a friend's place and won't be coming home. In my past life, I would have reminded him to take his homework and be careful. This time around, I stayed silent and let him be. 7. Shinmaji hasn't come back since filing for divorce half a month ago. I initially planned to pack up my belongings. After hours of packing, I realized how pitifully few possessions I had. They couldn't even fill a single box. To my surprise, Shinmaji's superior paid an unexpected visit. I fumbled awkwardly while serving tea, shouting, "Don't trouble yourself, I'll just stay for a short while. These past few years, I've often dreamed of your father. He asked me to look after you. I owe you that much, child." Uncle Lou served with my father back in their army days. After Dad's accident, he's helped me in ways both seen and unseen. Now he's come to visit me in person. My heart suddenly ached with emotion. Uncle Lou, you've always sent gifts to our home during holidays. You've already been more than kind to me. After my father passed, I've long considered you a second father. Truth be told, it was thoughtless of me not to visit and express my gratitude all these years. Uncle Lou held my hand with tears glistening in his eyes. After exchanging a few pleasantries, he came straight to the point. Good child, I've wronged you. You must know how rapidly things are changing these days. Just hypothetically, if Shinmaji's department gets axed, don't panic. Seeing me frozen in shock, he quickly reassured me. Don't worry, child. I'll do everything in my power to help him get reassigned. So it wasn't my whistleblowing letter that got Shinmaji fired in my past life after all. His entire department was already on the chopping block. Since I didn't make a scene with Shinmaji this time around, Uncle Lou remained unaware of our marital issues. Still thinking of reassigning Shinmaji out of respect for my father, everything became clear to me in that instant, and I started weighing my options. I thanked Uncle Lou, then spoke with unwavering determination. Uncle Lou, you don't need to help me anymore. 8. After Uncle Lou left, I fell into deep thought. He was right about one thing: the situation changes by the hour these days. If I want to defy fate, divorcing Shinmaji is just the beginning. I still need capital to settle down and make a living. I started counting the money I had on me, including the 1,000 yuan Shinmaji left me. I now have 1,120 yuan in total. I checked the calendar. I remember reading about it in the newspaper. A month later, the stock market went crazy and everyone was talking about stocks. Now that I've got some money saved up, might as well open a brokerage account early. Having already faced death once, there's nothing left to fear. Worst case scenario, I'll just sell sweet potatoes on the street to make ends meet. After making up my mind, I headed straight to the stock exchange first thing the next morning. I was in high spirits after opening my account. Then I got a stylish perm at the hair salon. I picked up a few dresses I liked at the department store. I paused mid-step as I walked past the cafe in my sundress. The mellow notes of a piano drifted to my ears, the cafe's trendy decor, delicate tableware, and the animated conversations of its patrons. Suddenly I remembered my past life, trailing Shinmaji in that faded dress shirt, standing at the cafe entrance. I nervously clutched my sleeves. Too shy to step inside, I could only peek through the window, secretly observing how the upper class lived. Lost in thought, I found myself already inside the coffee shop. The barista asked if I had a reservation. Before I could respond, a coquettish female voice reached my ears. "You must be the sister-in-law." When our eyes met, I recognized her immediately. It was Zhang Wenfeng, that female employee who'd been involved with Shinmaji in our past life. Just as I expected, Shinmaji was there too. When he saw me, his brow furrowed as usual. "Oh my, sister-in-law, we're wearing the exact same dress." Only after Zhang Wenfeng's exclamation did I realize we were dressed in identical outfits. She's prettier than me, and only in this lifetime have I truly seen her beauty. Her round face was framed by large, expressive eyes. Though we're the same age, she looks noticeably younger than me. Most striking were her slender, porcelain-white hands. She seemed to notice my unease, a glint of triumph flashing in her eyes. Then she gave me a once-over before covering her mouth with a coy laugh. "Since your wife is here, I won't intrude. Director Shen, I'll take my leave." Before leaving, Zhang Wenfeng shot Shinmaji a look brimming with suggestiveness. Shinmaji's expression darkened instantly as he roughly dragged me out of the cafe. In the alleyway, he violently shook off my hand, his gaze venomous. "Zhao Qing, I should have known better than to trust you to agree to the divorce." Pretending to demand 20 grand for the divorce while secretly copying Wenfeng's style to pick fights at cafes. How pathetic can you get? I was so angry I could laugh. I slapped him hard across the face. "Shinmaji, I should be the one asking you that. How pathetic can you be? If you've got the money to throw at me, I'll divorce you right now. Otherwise, quit barking at me like a dog." A flicker of surprise crossed Shinmaji's face. He probably never expected me, who'd always been too timid to even raise my voice at him, to actually lay hands on him. His shock was quickly drowned in rage. "Zhao Qing, you've got some nerve. I'll get you the money this week." Just as he was about to walk away, he turned back. "Wenfeng wants to come over for dinner tonight. Make a few more dishes, and remember, no scallions." I was stunned. He was basically telling me he'd already decided to divorce me, and now he expects me to cook for him and his mistress. The man's lost his mind. He seemed so certain I'd obey that he walked off without even looking back. 9. When I got home, my mother-in-law had already returned from the countryside. She was humming a tune while leisurely trimming vegetables in the living room. Spotting me, she immediately ordered, "We're having important guests tonight. Go buy some meat." I can't be bothered to keep up this charade with her. I'm exhausted. Go get it yourself. With that, I headed straight into the house. She muttered behind me, "As if I don't know you, always cutting corners." But she seemed to be in a good mood today and didn't pester me. After a while, I heard my son Shenen's voice. "Grandma, I'm going to the movies with my friends tonight. Why did you call me back?" He was my own son, after all. So I couldn't help but scold him a bit when I walked into the living room. "You've been slacking off all over the place these past 2 weeks. Are you even planning to take the college entrance exam?" I've always been strict about Shenen's studies, and he was too guilty to even look me in the eye. Surprisingly, it was my mother-in-law who spoke up in his defense. "My grandson is always at the top of his class. What's wrong with him taking a little break, with someone backing him up?" Shenen suddenly wasn't afraid of me anymore. He looked at me with disdain. "Dad said that people aren't divided by status or wealth. As long as their values align, anyone can be a friend. Besides, Dad even married a woman as unremarkable as you, so why can't I be friends with them?" I took a deep breath, a cold laugh escaping me. I knew in my past life that I had raised an ungrateful wretch, so it's no surprise he's saying these things now. my mother-in-law, hands on her hips, also started yelling curses at me. I'm not dead yet, and you're already trying to run this house. You've turned a perfectly good home into a complete mess. How unlucky. I couldn't be bothered with them and went into the inner room. 10. Shen Maji and Zhang Wenfeng arrived together. Zhang Wenfeng brought some gifts, and the mother-in-law was beaming. My dear, why are you always so polite? Just seeing you makes Auntie's heart so happy. Shannon also happily went to greet her. Aunt Wenfeng, you're finally here. I've missed you so much. At that moment, they looked like a loving family, and I stood by, feeling like an outsider. When it was time to eat, I ignored everyone's stares and just sat down at the table and started eating. The mother-in-law slammed the table and stood up. Zhao Qing, have you no sense of decency? The guests haven't even picked up their chopsticks yet, and here you are stuffing your face. The Shen family is cursed for 8 generations to have married such a disgraceful woman. Shen Maji also looked displeased, but Zhang Wenfeng stepped forward gracefully to mediate. Auntie, your health can't take this anger. Please calm yourself. Director Shen has always been very kind to me. I came today specifically to express my gratitude. I'm hardly a guest here. If sister-in-law enjoys the dish, by all means let her have it. I don't mind at all, though she claimed not to mind. Zhang Wenfeng's eyes betrayed her hurt feelings. In their past life, she'd driven Shen Maji to suicide with mere words. Zhang Wenfeng was no pushover. My mother-in-law has always been clueless, though. She tenderly held Zhang Wenfeng's hand. You've been wronged, my dear. You're so obedient, sensible, and well-educated. I truly wish Emoji could marry you. I just don't know if it's meant to be. Shen Maji looked at Zhang Wenfeng with a hint of infatuation. Shannon shoveled a few mouthfuls of rice before eagerly raising his hand. I want Aunt Wenfeng to be my new mom too. Zhang Wenfeng put on an affected smile. Auntie, I've had a hard life since childhood. Marrying a good man like Director Shen would be the blessing of a lifetime. Getting the answer she wanted, the mother-in-law grinned from ear to ear. They acted as if I didn't exist, fussing over Zhang Wenfeng with refilled tea and extra dishes, instead of picking up her chopsticks. Zhang Wenfeng furrowed her delicate brows and began retching. I narrowed my eyes, studying her intently. Was she pregnant? The mother-in-law paused for a moment, then seemed to understand something, her smile deepening. She immediately ladled Zhang Wenfeng a bowl of chicken soup, urging her earnestly to take good care of her health. After Zhang Wenfeng left, the mother-in-law turned to Shannon with a smile. Anan, if you were to have a baby brother, would you take good care of him? Shannon didn't quite understand. Grandma, Dad's about to divorce Mom. How could I possibly have a little brother? Silly child, you'll understand when you're older. Her expression darkened as she started cursing at my retreating figure. Your mom's utterly useless, just eats and runs, never bothers to clean up. 11. I secretly followed Shen Maji as he walked Zhang Wenfeng home. It wasn't because I wanted to watch them flirt. I can't wait for Shen Maji to raise the money anymore. I need to push him to get this divorce over with sooner. Besides, the stock market is due for a boom, and the date is fast approaching. I need to have enough capital to get in early. Under the shade of the trees, Zhang Wenfeng leaned coquettishly into Shen Maji's arms, like a little bird. Director M.O., are you going to take care of me and our child or not? Look at your wife's attitude today. She's clearly just trying to spite me. Shen Maji pulled her into a tender embrace, his heart aching for her. Don't worry, Wenfeng, he murmured. I'll make things right for you and our child. They lingered in each other's arms for quite some time. Only after Zhang Wenfeng's stilettos clicked their way into the distance did I finally show myself. Director Shen, you're something else. Not even divorced yet, and you've already got a kid running around. He visibly flinched when he realized it was me speaking. Then he sternly added, Zhao Qing, since you already know, you should understand that Wenfeng is the only one I love. It's better for both of us if we go our separate ways. I feigned agreement and nodded. I've been willing to divorce from the start. It's you who couldn't scrape together the money. Shen Maji's expression darkened when I mentioned the money. 20,000 isn't exactly pocket change. I looked up with a faint smile. 20 grand. Who told you it was 20 grand? Under his bewildered gaze, I said with dead seriousness, Shen Maji, I want 25,000. By tomorrow. You, Director Shen, don't get ahead of yourself. That 20 grand quote was from half a month ago. Things are different now. You've even knocked someone up with your affair. Do you really think I'd swallow this insult? Shen Maji clenched his fists, glaring at me with icy hostility. What do you want? I spoke slowly. Give me 20,000 by tomorrow, and I'll sign the divorce papers immediately. Otherwise, your beloved woman will forever be a despised homewrecker, and your child will remain a shameful bastard. Need I mention how this will affect your reputation at the ministry? You're a smart man, Director Shen. I shouldn't need to spell it out. Without a backward glance, I walked away under Shinmaji's stunned gaze. 12. Shinmaji managed to scrape together the money by the next evening. After counting the cash, I signed with a flourish. Thankfully divorces don't require applications these days. We got our divorce papers that very same day. As I left, I warned him, "You'd better keep your meddling mother in check. If she disturbs my life without cause, I won't hesitate to make a scene." Shinmaji stared blankly at the divorce certificate, perhaps overwhelmed by euphoria. I sneered inwardly, "Enjoy it while you can, this joy won't last." Holding the divorce papers, I finally felt alive again. This was just the first step in rewriting my destiny. Clutching the cash, I rushed to the stock exchange and invested every last penny of the 25,000 yuan. The agent I hired was a young man named Xiaoding, whom I remembered seeing featured in the newspaper. During the stock market boom, he turned a mere $1,000 into legendary investor status. I entrusted him with all my savings and signed an agreement with him. With everything settled, a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. I'd cleaned the rental place days ago. But now I had to go back to collect my things left at the Shen residence. When I arrived at the Shen household, I found Zhang Wenfeng was there too. Mrs. Shen held her hand with motherly tenderness. "Wenfeng, don't go inside just yet. Moving always kicks up dust. Wait in the courtyard and think about what you'd like for lunch. I'll cook whatever you want." I walked straight past them like they were air and went inside to grab my things. As I was leaving, Mrs. Shen barked at me to stop. "Go wash yesterday's laundry before you leave." I burst out laughing. "Auntie, if you're sick go see a doctor. I'm already divorced from your son. Why should I do your laundry?" The sheer audacity. "How shameless can you be?" Mrs. Shen froze. "You, motherless trash. After freeloading off our family for years, when I haven't even demanded back rent, you dare curse me over a few laundry items. Just wait till I teach you a lesson." As Mrs. Shen moved to strike, Zhang Wenfeng intercepted her. "Mom, let it go. I want to talk with Sister Zhaoqing for a bit." Zhang Wenfeng pulled me under the tree in the yard with a look of disdain. "You must hate me a lot, don't you?" I remained expressionless and silent. With a mocking smirk, she continued, "My first man was useless, but I got lucky. He died young. Shinmaji's different, talented, capable, a rare catch. Women in this world are like rootless willow catkins, drifting with the wind. Only by finding fertile soil to settle can we take root and flourish. Hate me all you want. I couldn't care less. Reputation means nothing. Shinmaji's the hottest bachelor now, and I must marry him immediately to make my scheming worthwhile." As she spoke, Zhang Wenfeng's eyes gleamed with calculation. These words were meant for me, but to my ears, they sounded more like she was speaking to herself. She wasn't sure whether the land she'd settled on was fertile or barren. I smiled and said, "I'm not well educated, so I can't speak in refined terms, but I don't resent you. On the contrary, I'm grateful. Thank you for freeing me from misery and showing me that the only person I can truly rely on is myself." I walked straight ahead with my belongings under her bewildered gaze. No hesitation, no looking back. 13. A month later, the stock market entered a bull run. Everyone, young and old, was talking about stocks. The stocks Xiaoding and I bought soared over tenfold. Xiaoding wanted to keep playing the market, but I decided to cash out. "Sis, don't you trust me? Relax. With my skills, I can multiply your money 100 or even 1,000 times over." I knew Xiaoding had talent. In the following years, he made his fortune riding multiple bull markets. It's not that I don't trust him, I'm just not young anymore. I want to use this money for many things, not gamble on multiplying it 1,000-fold. I'm already content. After explaining to Xiaoding, I paid him the agreed fee as promised. The stock exchange is now packed with people scrambling to open trading accounts. I also spotted Shinmaji and Zhang Wenfeng there. Right after my divorce from Shinmaji, he went and got married to Zhang Wenfeng. Rumor has it their wedding was even more extravagant than his first marriage. Half of the 25,000 yuan Shinmaji gave me back then was borrowed, and the wedding itself cost a fortune. And now, out of nowhere, he's dabbling in stocks. Their conversation quickly revealed the reason. "Wenfeng, this 5,000 yuan is the last bit of money I can possibly borrow. What if we lose it all?" Zhang Wenfeng said decisively, "You won't lose money. My cousin told me he has connections, and this investment will definitely multiply tenfold. Maji, you know our family's situation now. If we don't take a gamble, do you want our child to starve once they're born?" Shinmaji's hesitant gaze firmed up after Zhang Wenfeng's persuasion. He personally handed over the money. I left with a sneer. 14. With the money I'd earned, I bought a small apartment and also acquired 2 well-located commercial properties, hoping to start a business. The bull market was fleeting. As the stock market plummeted, layoffs and downsizing arrived as expected. Many organizations had to restructure internal positions to introduce new technologies and equipment. Shin Maji was laid off, and Zhang Wenfeng had to be reassigned due to her pregnancy. When I went to visit Uncle Lu with some supplements, Shin's mother was outside the office, yelling furiously, "My son is a director, how dare you just lay him off like that? You're all blind and clearly targeting my son. Get your manager out here. If this isn't properly explained to me, I'm not leaving." Her dramatic outburst drew quite a crowd. Isn't that Zhang Wenfeng's mother-in-law? What a fierce woman. With Director Mo laid off, Zhang Wenfeng demoted to a dead-end job, pregnant no less, and now this unreasonable mother-in-law. I can't imagine how she's coping. Well, she brought it on herself, didn't she? You probably don't know this, but she was the mistress who muscled her way in. Zhang Wenfeng's face flushed crimson at the crowd's words. She stepped forward and took Mrs. Shin by the arm. "Mom, please stop making a scene, I'm still at work, and if you keep this up, what will everyone think of me?" Upon seeing Zhang Wenfeng, Shin's mother clutched at her like a drowning person grasping a lifeline. "Wenfeng, please talk to your superiors. Mo Ji is a capable person, they can't just lay him off like that." Zhang Wenfeng, annoyed, pushed her hand away. "Mom, this is an arrangement from above, there's nothing I can do." Shin's mother seemed to have an idea. "Wenfeng, why don't you apply to transfer your job to Maji? You can resign and stay home to focus on your pregnancy and take care of the baby. Maji is such an ambitious person, he can't be without a job." Zhang Wenfeng's face instantly darkened. Shin's mother tugged at her pant leg, tearfully begging her to give her job to Shin Maji. I couldn't help but chuckle to myself. The Shin family truly had no shame, resorting to their old tricks again. During the argument, Zhang Wenfeng shoved Shin's mother, causing her to fall to the ground. By the time Shin Maji arrived, his mother was already unconscious. Shin Maji's life has completely fallen apart, a pregnant wife, a paralyzed mother, a son in school, and himself, jobless. 15. Shannon found me just as I was finishing up at the shop and heading home. He was carrying a bag of sugar and came straight toward me when he saw me. "Mom, how have you been lately?" He looked worn out. A far cry from his former clean-cut appearance. I didn't let him in, but asked at the door, "What brings you here?" He nervously fidgeted with his collar. "Mom, I just wanted to see you." "Oh, then you can leave now." Seeing me about to kick them out, Shannon immediately blocked my way into the house. "Mom, can you please help me? I want to continue my studies." I looked at him, a puzzled expression on my face. Shannon's eyes darkened. "Ever since Dad got laid off, he's been drinking at home every day. Aunt Wenfeng keeps threatening to file for divorce. Grandma's bedridden in the hospital, and debt collectors keep showing up at our door. Between taking care of Grandma and handling household chores, I can't possibly focus on my studies." My pupils contracted as I studied him intently. "So how exactly do you want me to help you?" Seeing my agreement, the dying embers of disappointment in his eyes suddenly reignited. "Mom, could you go take care of Grandma? No one's doing the housework anymore. If you go back, Aunt Wenfeng might reconsider divorcing Dad. We'd still be one happy family, and I could focus on my studies without worry." I swallowed my anger, never expecting him to say something like that. "Shannon, I've already divorced your father. What makes you think I'd go back to that house to be an unpaid maid?" He jumped in immediately. "For me, I'm your son. Do you want to see me fail the college entrance exam?" "Mom," I scoffed. "What an idiot," then quickly went inside and slammed the door shut. Seeing my complete lack of mercy, Shannon flew into a rage. He kicked the door violently several times, shouting at the top of his lungs, "You don't deserve to be called my mother. Just wait, when I get into university and bring honor to our family, you'll regret this." I couldn't help but sneer. "I'm waiting." 16. This summer was scorching hot, and I'd been swamped with work. I leased out one of the storefronts I acquired in the department store, while running the other myself selling imported leather shoes. On the day the college entrance exam results came out, I never received news of Shannon bringing honor to his family. Zhang Wenfeng finally showed up, coming to my store to buy shoes. But the man she was clinging to wasn't Shin Maji. It was some elderly gentleman. Nowadays, even heavy makeup can't conceal Zhang Wenfeng's haggard appearance. Rumor has it she ended up aborting the child, yet Shin Maji stubbornly refuses to divorce. Her expression froze the moment she saw me. Then she lifted her chin haughtily and ordered me around. "Waiter, bring me the most expensive shoes in your store." She emphasized the words, "most expensive," with deliberate weight. The young salesgirl immediately jumped in to explain. "Miss, this is our owner. She's doing store inspections this week. What's your shoe size? I'll fetch a pair for you right away." Zhang Wenfeng froze momentarily upon hearing I was the owner. Before she could process her surprise, a figure suddenly appeared before her. "Zhang Wenfeng, do you have any idea how long I've been looking for you?" Are you divorcing me just for this man? After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me. I gave you the wedding you wanted. I borrowed money when you asked me to invest in stocks. And I agreed when you said you needed some space. And what do? You turn around, abort our child, and mess around with this man. Have you no shame? Shen Maji questioned Shen Wenfeng, his eyes bloodshot. Zhang Wenfeng rolled her eyes. She scoffed. For me, don't make yourself sound so noble. She took the old man's hand and said, word for word, Shen Maji, you're just an incompetent man. I've told you countless times, I want a divorce. Shen Maji desperately pulled her away from the man. You're my wife now. Do you have any sense of propriety or shame? Zhang Wenfeng scoffed. That's rich coming from you. I should be asking you that. Weren't you messing around with me before your divorce was even finalized? Zhang Wenfeng's face darkened with malice. This is karma, pure karma. The older man Zhang Wenfeng had latched onto had connections. Suddenly several thugs appeared and beat Shen Maji black and blue. Zhang Wenfeng left arm in arm with the man, beaming like a blooming flower. I jerked my head up to look at him. Just watching, I looked down at him from my superior position as he clung to me like a drowning man grasping at straws. He crawled toward me in a twisted manner. Ching. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have treated you that way before. Please forgive me. I can divorce Zhang Wenfeng. Let's remarry. I promise I'll treat you right this time. I kept a straight face without speaking. Signaling my assistant with a glance to call security, the guards arrived shortly, and Shen Maji's expression changed instantly. Zhao Qing, have you no conscience? After all the money I've given you and years of support, must you be this heartless? He was pinned down by security, unable to move. I walked up to him, taking in what he'd become. All traces of his former refinement and dignified composure had vanished. A wicked satisfaction surged through me. Who knew watching someone unravel from the high ground could feel this good? Words were unnecessary. The contempt in my gaze spoke volumes beyond any taunt. 17. Shen Maji ended up jumping off the building after all, just as cowardly and useless as in his past life, abandoning his gravely ill mother and barely adult son. After the police located me, they handed me a suicide note. Same as last lifetime, he resented me, hated me for taking so much of his money. He resented me for not helping him, resented me for not understanding him. The only difference was he also hated Zhang Wenfeng. Holding the suicide note now, I find it utterly ridiculous. The incompetent always shift all blame onto others. Women are always the easiest scapegoats. Yet when I built my own career, no one claimed I caused Shen Maji's death. Everyone said he brought it upon himself by abandoning his devoted wife. See, only by becoming your own fortress can you become unshakable. Story 2. The neighbor's uncle doted on me for 10 years. Because of that night, I got pregnant, and as White Moonlight was heartbroken and attempted suicide by cutting her wrist, the uncle personally aborted my child and then kicked me out of the house. From then on, I became a sinner. To atone for my sins, I applied to become a Doctors Without Borders volunteer and died in Congo. Before dying, my mind was filled with memories of my uncle. With this troublemaker dead, he should be happy. When I reached the underworld, the Lady of Forgetfulness said my obsessions were too strong to enter the cycle of reincarnation. Give me 3 days to let go of my obsession. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day it all happened. This time, I chose to take the contraceptive pill without hesitation. After taking the contraceptive pill, my uncle woke up. His gaze was sharp, his expression icy. Li Zhaozhao, you're truly despicable. Have you no shame, at such a young age? You've done something like this, shaming your parents. Even though I've heard these words before, hearing it again, my heart felt as if being gripped by an invisible hand. The pain was intense. I didn't explain, just gave a faint I'm sorry, uncle, I was wrong. The corner of uncle's lips curled up in a mocking arc. If you truly knew you were wrong, you wouldn't have done such disgraceful things. I barely suppressed the bitterness in my heart. I'll stay away from you from now on. 1. After realizing the inevitable tragic ending, I stopped forcing my uncle's affection. My uncle's eyes were full of mockery. Li Zhaozhao, it's a shame you don't pursue acting. I fell silent, lowering my head to hide my already reddened eyes. My uncle's gaze noticed the box of contraceptive pills under the bed. He quickly got out of bed and picked up the pill box. Upon clearly seeing it was birth control pills, a flicker of surprise flashed through his eyes, vanishing in an instant. You take birth control pills, I smirked mockingly. Or perhaps uncle hopes I'd conceive your child after one spring night's passion. The uncle crushed the cardboard box and threw it heavily into the trash can with a loud clang. If you ever have a child, I will personally end its life. In his previous life, it was indeed he who killed the child with his own hands. Mentioning the child made his heart ache, so this time, I personally severed the bond between us, Li Zhaozhao. You're quite sensible to have taken the contraceptive pill first. Uncle has always been ruthless towards me. A gentle woman's voice sounded outside the door. Uncle's white moonlight. Manganin, Huaiji, are you in your room? It's time to accompany me to the hospital. The sharp look in Uncle's eyes instantly vanished, melting into a pool of tenderness. Wait a moment, I'm getting dressed. Uncle is always incredibly gentle with Manganin, but with me, he long lost his former patience. Manganin asked again, is Zhaozhao not home? Where did she go? At the mention of me, Uncle's voice immediately turned colder. Let her be, who knows where she's gone off to fool around. Manganin gently persuaded him, Zhaozhao is still young, it's normal for her to be a bit mischievous, don't be too strict. Manganin turned the doorknob. Huaiji, I'm coming in. Uncle finished dressing and stood blocking the doorway. Before leaving, Uncle turned back to warn me. I cover my bitter smile, masking the throbbing pain in my heart, returned to the room. In 3 days' time, I want to bid farewell to everything. I threw all the gifts my uncle had given me over the years into the fire. A raging fire kept burning, reducing small objects to ashes. From behind came the sound of a man's questioning voice. What are you doing? Are you burning something? He focused his gaze, showing a nervous expression, and kicked over the brazier. Braving the high winds, the uncle reached out his hand, his voice trembling. Why burn them all? The warm firelight reflected on my cold face, because they were all moldy. Uncle is still angry, even though it's moldy, you didn't have to burn it all, these are memories. Before Uncle could finish speaking, Manganin called him away with another phone call. Between Manganin and me, Uncle would always choose Manganin without hesitation. In the evening, I returned to the old house. Grandpa Pei and Grandpa were comrades in arms, after my parents passed away. Grandpa Pei took me back to the Pei family. Zhaozhao, you're here. Did your uncle bully you again? Grandpa Pei will teach him a lesson. Faced with Grandpa Pei's concern, I was overwhelmed by boundless bitterness. Uncle treats me very well. Grandpa, I want to move out of the Pei family. Grandpa Pei couldn't understand. Why? Tell Grandpa where you're unhappy. I couldn't suppress my trembling and grievances. No. I think I've grown up and can venture out into the world. Grandpa Pei immediately noticed something was wrong with me. He flew into a rage. Call Pei Huaiji. Get your ass back here. I urgently grabbed Grandpa Pei's sleeve, pleading with him in tears. I beg you, don't call Uncle. Don't pressure him anymore. Grandpa Pei, I don't like Uncle anymore. I just want to move away. Is that okay? Grandpa Pei let out a heavy sigh. You've grown up, and I'm too old to control you anymore. Zhaozhao, I'll always be your grandpa. If you ever feel wronged outside, just come back. Grandpa will stand up for you. I wiped my tears and smiled, replying, okay. Just stepped out of the Pei family's gate. My uncle stormed toward me with aggressive strides. He tightly grabbed my wrist and said fiercely, you've got some nerve, Li Zhaozhao, burning things this afternoon. So eager to be with me that you went and told Grandpa about it. You know he's always favored you most, and now you're using him to force me into marrying you. Are you happy now? My wrist ached from Uncle's tight grip, tears welling up uncontrollably. I didn't say anything. Uncle snorted coldly. If you didn't say it, how would Grandpa know? I struggled to shake off his hand and explained with grievance. I don't know, can't you understand? Uncle, amid the argument, a phone call came through. Carrying an anxious voice, Huaiji, Anan knows about you and Li Zhaozhao. She's attempted suicide by cutting her wrists. My uncle shot me a look full of disgust. Overwhelming grievances spread from the heart. His voice was urgent. Okay, I'll come right away. Wait for me. Li Zhaozhao, look at the mess you've made. If anything happens to Anan, I won't let you off. After he hurriedly left, I realized my face was already streaked with tears. My uncle didn't return all night. It wasn't until dawn that Manganin updated her social media. So you did love me after all, Mr. Pei. Thank you for the diamond ring. I adore it. Unlocked new identity, fiancé. The words fiancé stabbed deep into my eyes. My heart still ached uncontrollably. Breathing became difficult. Silently gave a like, then took no further action. In the past, I would have acted like a shrew, making a scene, but now it seems meaningless. The next day was Manganin's birthday. I stepped outside and saw the villa surrounded by white roses. White roses are Manganin's favorite flowers. The surrounding people's discussions kept pouring into my ears. How blissful. CEO Pei is going to propose to Sister Anan. A good novel story. You saved my life. I'll dedicate my entire life to you as compensation. That's exactly what CEO Pei and Sister Anan mean. Their words pierced my heart like sharp blades. I was clearly the one who saved Uncle. I told Uncle about it, but he said I was consumed by jealousy. I couldn't bear to listen any longer and turned to leave. Manganin, dressed in haute couture wedding gown, called out to stop me. Zhao Zhao, where are you going? All eyes fell upon me. The uncle stood beside Manganin in a matching suit, looking like a perfect couple. Her name is Li Zhao Zhao, the granddaughter of the uncle's grandfather's comrade in arms, and she also lives with the Pei family. Someone sneered. I know her. An orphan who brought misfortune to her parents. I also heard her mother was the other woman, so it was the mistress taking over. No wonder she died in the end. Serves her right. I only told my uncle about family matters. I trusted him. But he turned around and told others. I turned away, wiped my tears, and left. After a while, uncle caught up. Today is Ann's birthday. Can't you be more sensible? I shouted back. No, uncle, I told you about family matters. But you immediately shared them with others. A flicker of guilt flashed through the uncle's eyes, vanishing in an instant. I didn't tell anyone else. I don't know where they got the news from. Then you shouldn't have stormed off like that. Today is Ann's birthday, but he forgot. Yesterday was my birthday too. I suppressed the stabbing pain in my heart and took a deep breath. I didn't want to attend in the first place, you understand. My uncle sneered. I know you're trying to cause trouble again. Because of you, Annan almost committed suicide. They just wanted you to attend the birthday party. Li Zhao Zhao, can't you show some compassion? I retorted hoarsely. Uncle, aren't you accusing me without even asking for the reason? Is it really that I lack compassion? Or are you looking at me through colored glasses? A mocking smile curled at the corner of Uncle's lips. Am I seeing you through tinted glasses? Every single thing you've done. Where's the misunderstanding? So tired. Never been this exhausted before. Manganin walked up to me holding a piece of cake. Zhao Zhao, want some cake? The sight of cake instantly made me nauseous. Manganin looked bewildered. What's wrong with you? Uncle said disdainfully. Zhao Zhao, have you no manners at all? I was kindly sharing cake with you. Human food simply doesn't suit my current body. The uncle flew into a rage and threw the cake violently onto the ground. What a buzzkill. After the crowd dispersed, I couldn't stop coughing. With blood continuously streaming from the corner of my mouth, having returned to the mortal world for 3 days, I only had 3 days of life left. There's only 1 day left. I hurried to Grandpa Pei's place to say my final goodbye. Grandpa, he greeted me cheerfully. Zhao Zhao is here. Grandpa Pei, in a couple of days, I'm going to a very faraway place. Grandpa Pei became sad. Then will you still come back? I hugged Grandpa. Of course I'll return. Wherever Grandpa Pei is, that's home. Grandpa Pei patted my hand and said, it's good that you're back. After saying goodbye to Grandpa, I went back to my room to pack my things. The door was kicked open by my uncle. Li Zhao Zhao, what on earth are you trying to do? I was baffled and stood frozen in place. Uncle, what are you saying? I don't understand. Uncle snorted coldly and dragged me outside. The commotion was too loud, alerting Butler Li. He stepped forward to block the way. President Pei, where are you taking the young lady? The uncle shouted sharply, step aside. Butler Li, seeing the uncle's great anger, silently retreated to the side. I was roughly shoved into the car by my uncle, desperately pounding on the window. Uncle, take me there. Uncle pinned down my struggling legs without a word. Even when we arrived at the hospital, he still held on to me. Look at what you've done. The whole of Haicheng knows about our scandal. And Anin is being gossiped about behind her back. He frowned and kept blaming me. Now that someone's in the hospital, are you satisfied? Manganin walked over looking pale and weak, softly trying to mediate. Alright Huaiji, Zhao Zhao is still a child, don't be so harsh. I believe Zhao Zhao didn't do it on purpose. I defended myself. It wasn't me who said it. Uncle grew even angrier. Do you have even half of an intolerance and understanding? How could you ever compare to them? It was all just my wishful thinking. In Uncle's heart, Manganin is the moon among clouds. While I'm just the mud beneath his feet, I smiled self-deprecatingly and stopped arguing. You're right. As I turned to leave, my uncle grabbed my wrist. What mischief are you up to again? I shook my head in denial. Nothing. I'm going home to pack my things. The uncle sneered and roughly shook off her hand. To teach you a lesson, Anan and I will get engaged tomorrow. Hearing the word engagement directly from my uncle's mouth felt like a thunderbolt striking my heart. Engagement. That's nice. I forced a bitter smile. That's great. Congratulations to you both. For tomorrow's engagement ceremony, you can just stay in the confinement room and reflect on your actions. Don't even think about asking my father for help either. I've sent him away to Haicheng. I spoke in disbelief, my heart aching with bitterness. Confinement room. I have claustrophobia. Being locked up would drive me crazy with fear. Manganin spoke weakly like a willow swaying in the wind. Li Zhao Zhao, we're doing this for your own good. You just need to stay for 1 night. A group of bodyguards tied me up and roughly threw me into the confinement room. Butler Lee spoke up to plead for mercy. President Pei, spare Miss Lee, she didn't mean it, she knows she was wrong. I knew my uncle was cruel to me, but I never expected him to be this heartless. Younger uncle clearly didn't believe it. Would she even realize her mistake? Meng Yan'an spoke softly in persuasion. Zhao Zhao, just endure it for one night. When you come out, sister-in-law will definitely make it up to you properly. Thank you for me and your younger uncle. I grabbed younger uncle's pant leg. Both scared and wronged. I was really wrong, uncle. Please believe me. I definitely didn't say it. Uncle, I'll leave tomorrow, far away from you all, and promise never to disturb you again. Uncle gripped my chin harshly. I don't believe a single word you say. You're full of wicked ideas. Just stay here and reflect on your actions. My voice choked up as I tried to grab hold of him. No, uncle, I'm scared. Uncle looked down at me as he pried my fingers open one by one, leaving me weak and collapsing to the ground. The last day of returning to the human world. I don't want to stay in the confinement room. I want to see my parents and grandpa. Please let me see my parents just once. I'll obediently stay confined when I return. Uncle's face remained cold as he spoke word by word. No, stay put quietly. You'll be released as soon as tomorrow's engagement is over. I cried out in despair. Uncle. But I have no tomorrow left. I'll never see mom, dad, or grandpa again. Uncle scoffed. Li Zhao Zhao, you're a living person. How could you possibly die? The last shred of hope slipped through my fingers. Resigned, I stopped struggling. Yes, I really am going to die. As we spoke, the gate slowly closed, gradually obscuring my uncle's face. I coughed up blood incessantly throughout the entire night. The sound of wedding music played outside as I listened, feeling life slipping away. After the engagement ended, my uncle finally remembered me. He opened his mouth to ask Butler Lee, was the young lady well behaved? Did she make any fuss? Butler Lee wiped away his tears. The young lady will never fuss again. She's gone. The uncle clearly didn't believe it and repeated the question once more. Where is Li Zhao Zhao? Where is she? Did she do something bad again and make you lie to me together? Butler Lee sighed. That's not the case. President Pei, why do you always assume the worst of Miss? She clearly did nothing at all. Butler Lee continued. The young lady has truly left. If you don't believe me, you can go check the basement yourself. Butler Lee's gaze was earnest, and the uncle's skeptical expression gradually faded. The next second, he rushed out of the venue and drove away, leaving Meng Yan'an, who was still chatting and laughing with friends, to depart first. Sensing something amiss, Meng Yan'an hurriedly chased after him. My soul hovered above, watching quietly. Uncle drove very fast, and we arrived at the Pei family's house in no time. The news of my departure was intercepted by Butler Lee and not told to Grandpa. Having died once before, dying again didn't hurt as much this time. Stumbling all the way, Uncle rushed to the basement, only to see me inside, lying in a pool of blood. The uncle froze in place, his body trembling uncontrollably. He covered his mouth, the strong stench filling the air around him. The uncle lost all strength in his body, collapsed to the ground, tears streaming down his face. He reached out to brush the hair from my face, murmuring incessantly, Zhao Zhao, Li Zhao Zhao, wake up. After speaking, he reached to check my breathing, until his fingertips turned ice cold. He finally believed I was gone. He disbelievingly retorted, how could this be? It's impossible. She was clearly healthy. How could she just be gone? The uncle trembled as he fumbled to take out his phone and make a call. The call didn't go through, so Grandpa Pei came first. Uncle turned his head. Dad, what brings you here? Grandpa Pei delivered a sharp slap across Uncle's face. You disgraceful son, look at what you've done. The uncle froze in place, his head knocked sideways, a bright red slap mark appearing on his right cheek. A perfectly good person, look what you've done to her. I know you hate Li Zhaozhao's mother, but she's innocent. Grandpa Pei sighed. You used to get along so well. How did it come to this? Grandpa Pei's sigh couldn't help but remind me of the times when my uncle doted on me as a child. But those days are long gone and will never return. My uncle lowered his head and apologized to my body. Dad, I'm sorry. Grandpa Pei snorted coldly, clearly not accepting it. Sigh, they're already gone. What's the use of apologizing now? Grandpa Pei wiped the tears from the corner of his eye. Poor child. Meng Yan'an also arrived. Seeing the scene in the basement, she let out a scream. Ah, what happened? How could this be? Uncle answered in a muffled voice. Li Zhaozhao is gone. At night, Uncle came alone into my room carrying wine. He discovered that all my belongings were gone. Startled, he shouted loudly, Butler Lee, where are the young lady's things? Butler Lee answered truthfully, the young lady's belongings were all mailed away a few days ago. You didn't know. The younger uncle sat back down with a despondent expression, murmuring to himself, so she wanted to leave all along. Tears slid from the corners of his eyes as the phone began to ring. A man's delighted voice came through the phone. "Huaiji, congratulations on your engagement." The uncle responded with an and said, "Thank you." After hanging up, he thought about the engagement. He still needed to comfort Manganan. As he turned to leave, Manganan's voice sounded outside the door. Gone was her usual gentle charm, leaving only venom. "Oh come on dad. Just believe me, it's fine. That little bitch Li Xiaoxiao died long ago. Dead men tell no tales. From now on, Huaiji will only trust me more desperately." Manganan's voice continued echoing through the empty living room, brimming with smugness. "Dad, you wouldn't believe it. Huaiji took the initiative with that maid. It nearly killed me with rage. Thank goodness you told me to hold back, otherwise I would have definitely confronted Huaiji. That would ruin my image in Huaiji's eyes." The uncle behind the door was thunderstruck, standing frozen in place, unable to move for a long time. His heart kept aching with sharp pain, and his face instantly turned deathly pale. Only then did the uncle realize he had misunderstood Li Xiaoxiao. Li Xiaoxiao has always been innocent. He is the shameless one. In an instant, a flood of emotions overwhelmed his heart. Pain and regret swirled within him. "I watched it all with a calm heart." Then a phone call came in. Butler Li's voice sounded. "President Pei, the test results are out." Manganan's voice had long since disappeared. Uncle calmed himself down. "What's the result?" Steward Li spoke with trembling voice. "The test results indicate the young lady had already passed away 3 days ago." Even Steward Li couldn't believe his own words as he spoke, yet the monitoring report clearly stated the facts in black and white. The sudden news left Uncle momentarily stunned. "What do you mean she was gone 3 days ago?" In an instant, the uncle was thunderstruck. Frozen in place, large teardrops kept falling continuously. He suddenly remembered that Li Xiaoxiao hadn't eaten at the table for several days. How could a normal person go without eating for 3 days? Coupled with Li Xiaoxiao's behavior at Manganan's birthday party, he could now be certain that Li Xiaoxiao had been gone for 3 days. I stared intently at my uncle's devastated expression. "I understand now. He would suffer if I died, but what use is such suffering?" After my uncle hung up on Butler Li's call, he went to Grandpa Pei's place, and I floated along with him. Grandpa Pei was sitting on the sofa wiping my photo, only looking up when Uncle approached him. His spirits had visibly declined, his expression despondent. "You're here, what brings you?" The younger uncle bent down and sat beside Grandpa Pei, speaking after a while. "The medical report says Li Xiaoxiao left 3 days ago. I don't believe it, so I came to ask you." A flash of shock passed through Grandpa Pei's eyes, then vanished. "Understood, she's already gone. You don't need to concern yourself with when she left." The younger uncle spoke in disbelief. "You don't seem surprised at all." Grandpa Pei could read my mind when I was little. Before Grandpa passed away, he nervously brought me to the Pei family to play. Grandpa Pei really likes me and always enjoys teasing me. He even told Grandpa that he should let me stay with the Pei family for a while. Every time I play hide and seek with Grandpa Pei, he always finds me. He says he doesn't even need to think to know where I'm hiding. He also understood my feelings for my younger uncle and did his best to help me. But only now do I realize that matters of the heart are the most impossible to force. Forced fruit is never sweet. Grandpa Pei wiped the tears from the corner of his eyes and put down my photo. "It's not that I wasn't surprised, but she suddenly told me days ago that she wanted to go to a faraway place." He sighed. "But back then, this old man just thought she wanted to go out to clear her mind because of your situation, so I didn't ask too many questions." After a moment of silence, Grandpa Pei continued. "Actually, 3 days ago, on the day you two were intimate, she came to see me." Uncle asked in a muffled voice. "What did she say when she came to see you?" Grandpa Pei picked up the teacup from the coffee table and took a sip of tea. He said unhurriedly, "She told me she doesn't like you anymore. Li Xiaoxiao said she knows you'll never develop feelings for her, so she decided to give up on you, using growing up as her reason. She wants to move out of the Pei family home." The uncle looked shocked. "So Li Xiaoxiao didn't come to you about me and her?" Grandpa Pei shook his head and replied firmly, "No. I heard about you and her from someone close to Manganan." The uncle was struck by another blow. So he had misunderstood Li Xiaoxiao again. How many things had he done to wrong Li Xiaoxiao? Grandpa Pei stood up and picked up my photo. "I'm tired, going upstairs to sleep. I'll leave Xiaoxiao's funeral arrangements to you. I feel sorry for her grandfather, and I'm also sorry for her. I can only apologize to her grandfather when I go down there later." Grandpa Pei bent over, leaning on his cane as he walked with unsteady steps. Grandpa Pei's hair was graying, and he walked very slowly, much slower than usual. An overwhelming wave of sorrow and bitterness enveloped me. Grandpa Pei had truly grown old. He had raised me with such care for over a decade, yet in the end, he had to bury someone younger than himself. I couldn't help but step forward to embrace him. Yet all I could do was watch helplessly as my own body passed right through him. I stood helplessly frozen. Watching Grandpa Pei walk away, finally left together with my uncle. In the evening, he took out several bottles of red wine from the liquor cabinet. As far as I can remember, my uncle rarely drinks, except when he's particularly upset or sad. After downing half a bottle of red wine, Uncle passed out. He kept murmuring, "Zhao Zhao, I'm sorry, Uncle is sorry. Please visit Uncle in his dreams, won't you?" Floating in the air, I remained indifferent to his actions. Butler Lee heard the noise and pushed the door open to enter. Carefully, he took the remaining red wine from beside his uncle. The next day, as soon as his uncle woke up, he planned to go to the crematorium. Just as he descended the stairs, he saw Meng Yan'an sitting on the sofa. She sprang up from the sofa in a flash and trotted over to her uncle. Meng Yan'an instinctively wrapped her arms around her uncle's arm, beaming with a radiant smile. Her uncle's face turned cold as he pushed Meng Yan'an's hand away. Meng Yan'an spoke with a pitiful tone, "Huaiji, I'm sorry, did I do something wrong to upset you?" The uncle's face remained cold, his tone stiff. "I don't have time to talk about that today, I'm leaving first." Meng Yan'an froze, quickly grabbing his arm. "Huaiji, I came to discuss our wedding with you. Since we're already engaged, why don't we move the wedding date forward? I've asked my parents, and they have no objections." "What about you?" Uncle sneered coldly and shook off Meng Yan'an's hand. "Meng Yan'an, how come I never noticed before how heartless you can be? Zhao Zhao just passed away, and you couldn't wait to get married. Do you still have any conscience left?" This was the first time Uncle had ever spoken harsh words to Meng Yan'an. The smile on her lips froze instantly, her expression turning awkward. Soon after, Meng Yan'an composed herself. "Huaiji, do you perhaps have some misunderstanding about me?" I was also deeply saddened by Zhao Zhao's departure. "We who are still alive must go on living." Uncle gave her a quiet look, then smiled. Only now did he realize how terribly wrong he had been. Meng Yan'an noticed Uncle was unhappy. She raised a smile and softened her voice to coax him. "Huaiji, I was wrong. I shouldn't have come to discuss the marriage with you at this time." The uncle frowned, his tone impatient. "I don't want to marry you. Our engagement is cancelled. Do you understand?" Meng Yan'an was as if struck by lightning, her voice trembling. "Huaiji, what did you say? You want to break off the engagement?" The uncle had seen everything, looking at Meng Yan'an with utter disgust in his eyes. "Meng Yan'an, aren't you tired of putting on this act? What happened between me and Zhao Zhao was my initiative, yet you kept it from me. You faked suicide to gain sympathy, framing Zhao Zhao to make me despise her. You even went so far as to publicize the matter widely. Meng Yan'an, how vicious your heart is." Instantly, Meng Yan'an's face turned deathly pale. "Huaiji, it's not like that, let me explain." Large teardrops welled up in her eyes, then rolled down her cheeks one after another. "Please don't call off the engagement. I did all this because I love you too much." The uncle curled his lips into a mocking smile. "Love me, Meng Yan'an, you say you love me? Is your love just a shield for your misdeeds?" "I'm not a fool, Meng Yan'an, you must be so proud, having played me for a fool all this time." Meng Yan'an was in tears, desperately trying to explain. "No, I truly love you. Please believe me." Her uncle refused without hesitation. "No, move aside." After speaking, her uncle pushed Meng Yan'an away and left. Meng Yan'an fell to the ground, froze for a few seconds, then burst into loud sobs. "Huaiji, come back, don't leave me alone, please come back." Uncle left without looking back, and I followed him. Glancing back at Meng Yan'an, I felt unusually calm inside. My uncle went to the crematorium, remaining silent throughout the entire process. After the ceremony concluded, he alone carried the urn to the memorial hall. During my lifetime, I didn't have many friends. When the rites were over, he buried the ashes in the cemetery he had chosen. I placed my favorite jasmine flowers. My younger uncle squatted in front of the tombstone, murmuring to himself, "Zhao Zhao, you're truly heartless, never once appearing in my dreams. Then again, you must despise me utterly. Why would you ever want to see me?" Came back home in the evening, the entire Meng Yan'an's family came, having finally managed to cling on to the prestigious Pei family. They were unwilling to give up. Meng Jiawei put on an ingratiating smile. "Huaiji is back, you must be tired." The uncle ignored him, sitting silently on the sofa. "Zhao Zhao was a good child. We're also heartbroken that she's gone." After speaking, he pretentiously wiped his tears, putting on an act of grief and sorrow. Meng Yan'an flashed an ingratiating smile. "Huaiji, are you still angry?" The uncle wasn't in the mood to beat around the bush with them. "If you have something to say, just say it directly, no need to keep us guessing." Meng Jiawei cleared his throat twice, his expression serious. "Huaiji, you said you want to break off the engagement, our family disagrees." Can we discuss this again? The uncle refused without hesitation. No. Do you think this is fun? Meng Jiawei's anger flared up instantly as he slammed his hand heavily on the coffee table. Pei Huaiji, what do you mean by this? Do you think our Meng family has no dignity left? Don't push us too far, uncle sneered. I'm pushing you too far. Haven't you been the ones deceiving me all along? This self-directed farce of yours isn't over yet, Meng Yan'an hastily explained. Dad, could you say less? Huaiji, my dad didn't mean it that way. We wanted to talk to you properly. We were wrong about what happened before. I'm sorry. I apologize to you. I hope you can forgive me, the uncle said coldly. I don't care for your apology, and I don't want to see you again. He showed them the door. You make me sick. Get out of here. Meng Jiawei's anger flared up uncontrollably. Pei Huaiji, you've got some nerve. Let's go, Yan'an. Don't regret it later. There's no such thing as a pill for turning back time in this world. Meng Yan'an refused to leave, tears glistening at the corners of her eyes. Dad, I won't go. I want to stay with Huaiji. I don't want to leave. Please, just let us be together. Meng Jiawei forcefully shook off her hand and shouted angrily. Meng Yan'an, aren't you ashamed enough already? I floated above, watching the drama unfold. Meng Jiawei continued speaking. If you don't leave today, I'll act as if I never had a daughter like you from now on. Meng Yan'an still refused to leave, and Meng Jiawei could do nothing about her. He had no choice but to leave first. Afterwards, Meng Yan'an knelt in the courtyard and shouted loudly, Huaiji, I know I've committed an unforgivable wrong, but I truly love you. The uncle's rage surged around him as he strode toward the door. A large hand viciously clamped around Meng Yan'an's slender neck. Instantly, Meng Yan'an found herself gasping for breath. Her hands feebly slapped at her uncle's arms until her face gradually turned bluish. Meng Yan'an was nearly strangled to death before their eyes. Only then did the uncle release his grip, his expression icy to the extreme, his voice like winter's frost. Meng Yan'an, I truly wish I could personally anger you to death. Meng Yan'an fell to the ground beside them, gasping for fresh air, unable to utter a word. The next moment, rain poured down in torrents. The uncle hurried back to the living room, leaving Meng Yan'an alone lying in the rain. I watched her outside for a while, and shortly after, Meng Jiawei took her back inside. In the evening, the Pei family announced the marriage alliance with the Meng family. My uncle also gave Meng Jiawei a considerable sum of money, so he stopped making trouble. After Meng Yan'an woke up, she couldn't accept at all that her engagement with my uncle had been called off, no matter how much she cried, made a scene, or threatened suicide at the Meng family home. She couldn't change her father's mind. Overnight, she had a mental breakdown and went insane. The Meng family had no choice but to send Meng Yan'an to a mental institution. They told outsiders that Meng Yan'an had gone traveling abroad. In order to protect the Meng family's reputation, Meng Jiawei didn't want a daughter who went mad after being jilted to tarnish the Meng family's reputation. Meng Jiawei loved Meng Yan'an, but he loved money and reputation more. Ever since Meng Yan'an left, my uncle would spend all his time either at work or sitting in my room. Everyone said he was thinking of me. I don't believe it anymore, nor do I care. After seeing all this, I just want to know when I can finally be reincarnated. My uncle got into a car accident that very night, and I stayed by his side. I watched helplessly as he was repeatedly hit by several black cars. They didn't leave until the car was completely wrecked. Uncle exclaimed in surprise. Zhao Zhao, so you've been by my side all along. I've missed you so much. Uncle was wrong. Uncle is sorry, truly sorry to you. After hearing Uncle's words, I felt no emotional fluctuation whatsoever. Yan Li's voice rang in my ears. Come back, child, your obsession has vanished. I saw Mengpa again, her face beaming with a smile as she looked at me. Child, congratulations, you've let go of your attachments and can now be reincarnated. The corners of my mouth lifted into a faint smile as I thanked Lady Meng. Thank you, Lady Meng. I finally understood what Lady Meng meant by attachments. It's my love and affection for my uncle. I'm too fixated on him, hoping he would glance at me, so much so that in the last second before death, all the memories in my mind were about him. Thus the obsession runs too deep, preventing reincarnation. Seeing my uncle still had words for me, Lady Meng turned and left. You all chat first. This old one will excuse herself. The younger uncle nearby anxiously spoke up. Zhao Zhao, so you've really been by my side all along? I nodded and answered truthfully, yes, I've always been by your side. The uncle lowered his head in shame. I'm sorry, I wronged you about that matter. I was a jerk. I've been deceived by Meng Yan'an all along, kept completely in the dark by them. As he spoke, the uncle's voice suddenly choked with emotion. Zhao Zhao, you're right, since that incident happened, yes, I've been looking at you through colored glasses. It's all my fault for not distinguishing between good and bad, making you suffer unfairly. I apologize to you. Please forgive me. With a calm expression, I said, Uncle, what's done is done. There's no need to talk about forgiveness or not. The younger uncle felt even more distressed. His eyes reddening. Zhao Zhao. I was truly wrong before. I couldn't see my own heart clearly. I do like you. My heart remained utterly unmoved. Uncle, I really don't like you anymore. Uncle frowned at me in disbelief, his voice trembling. Zhao Zhao, are you telling the truth? Impossible. I don't believe it. I thought letting go of him would be difficult, but fortunately I've moved on. Uncle, I'm really not lying to you. This was the first time I called him by his name in front of my uncle. I admit I once deeply liked you. But now I don't love you anymore. I don't like you anymore. Is that not allowed? My younger uncle looked up at me dejectedly. It's not that it can't be done, it's just that I can't accept it. Zhao Zhao, I've finally managed to see my own heart clearly. At least from now on, I can share my feelings with you, but now there's nothing I can do. After a moment of silence, I spoke. Uncle, I don't regret having loved you, but some things and people are just meant to be missed. We were destined to meet but not meant to be. Why must you cling to all this so stubbornly? Uncle weakly fell to his knees, tears streaming uncontrollably from the corners of his eyes, trickling down his face. He fell weakly to his knees on the ground. Zhao Zhao, little uncle is truly sorry to you, truly sorry. Now that you're gone, nothing I do can make up for it. He continued, can you tell me how exactly you passed away? After Mangin committed suicide. I went to Congo DRC and became a Doctors Without Borders physician. In the end, I was unfortunately shot and killed during a mission to rescue children. After death, because my obsession with you was too deep, Granny Meng said drinking the soup of forgetfulness would be useless for me. I cannot enter the cycle of reincarnation. I paused before continuing to speak, so after discussing with her superior, she granted me 3 days to return to the past, hoping I could let go of my obsession. My uncle asked with a worried expression, what will happen if you can't let go of your obsession in 3 days? I shook my head. I don't know. Maybe I'll just keep following you around forever. The Lady of Forgetfulness then spoke up. You finished speaking. I nodded. All right. Thank you for your time. Uncle stood by my side, looking at me reluctantly. Zhao Zhao. I took the mingpa soup. Goodbye, Uncle. Goodbye means never seeing each other again. After saying that, I walked toward the Mingpa bridge. Uncle was sobbing uncontrollably behind me, shouting loudly, Li Zhao Zhao, if there's a next life, would you be willing to? My uncle's words were left unfinished as I interrupted him. No, I wouldn't. I only wish for us to part ways and never meet again, never see each other again. Behind me was my uncle's heart-wrenching voice. Zhao Zhao, I beg you to look back at me. Just once. I didn't look back. Just kept walking forward. People should never repeat the same mistakes. Move forward boldly. Pei Huaiji's obsession was too deep, so Mengpa permitted him to visit the mortal world and see Li Zhaozhao's next life. From the moment Li Zhaozhao was born, he followed by her side. Li Zhaozhao was the only daughter in her family, and everyone doted on her excessively. Li Zhaozhao and her neighbor Qian Yu never got along, often quarreling with each other. Ke Li's mother and Qian's mother were longtime friends, and they even made a pact to become in-laws someday. Qian Yu had cold, stern features and always wore an unapproachable expression. Li Zhaozhao was like a little ray of sunshine, always cheerful with everyone. The two pretended not to know each other at school until the end of their third-year mock exams. Li Zhaozhao's college entrance exam scores, which were originally good enough for top-tier universities, suddenly dropped, making her parents realize something was wrong. Their daughter had fallen in love. Li Zhaozhao had grown very close to a top student in her class, though they hadn't officially started dating yet. They were just one step away from confessing their feelings, leaving Pei Huaiji watching on the sidelines, full of jealousy yet helpless. He recalled that Li Zhaozhao had once loved him with such sincerity and passion. His heart ached uncontrollably. The Li parents grew extremely anxious and, after discussing with the Qian family, decided to have a serious talk with Li Zhaozhao. During the critical period of senior year, they forcibly separated the young lovers. Before they could act, Li Zhaozhao returned in tears. She found out that the top student never liked her and was just using her as a pretext for truth or dare. Seeing Li Zhaozhao crying heartbrokenly, Pei Huaiji was filled with guilt. He had said many harsh words and didn't know how many times Li Zhaozhao had cried in secret. Li Zhaozhao threw herself onto Qian Yu, wailing loudly, while Qian Yu stood frozen in place, motionless, his eyes filled with heartache as Qian Yu gently comforted Li Zhaozhao. Be good, don't cry, Big Brother will avenge you later. Sure enough, the next day, the top student in Li Zhaozhao's class got a thorough beating. Later he apologized to Li Zhaozhao, but she completely ignored him. She turned around and left immediately. After this incident, A subtle yet pitiable change occurred in the relationship between Li Xiaoxiao and Qianyu. Both understood without speaking. At the request of Li Xiaoxiao's parents, Qianyu frequently came to tutor her at home. The two stopped arguing, indeed blushing when their eyes met. Pei Huaizhi knew they had fallen for each other. His heart ached unbearably, yet there was nothing he could do. Li Xiaoxiao suddenly realized Qianyu was strikingly handsome with a pleasant voice. And she'd even miss him after long separations. Finally, Qianyu could openly approach the person she liked. With the college entrance exams approaching, both could only try their best to suppress their simmering affection. Fortunately, after the exams, both were admitted to universities in the capital city. Though not the same university, they were right next to each other, making it very convenient to stay in touch. Qianyu deliberately applied to the same university as Li Xiaoxiao. Unable to bear being separated from her, the day the admission letter arrived happened to be a bright sunny day, a midsummer night. Qianyu invited Li Xiaoxiao out for a date, taking her to see the ocean. Li Xiaoxiao was also very happy, chatting and laughing with other friends along the way. At midnight, on the evening of Li Xiaoxiao's birthday, fireworks bloomed by the seaside, lit solely for Li Xiaoxiao. Li Xiaoxiao covered her mouth in surprise, her eyes filled with astonishment. Qianyu held a bouquet of jasmine. Li Xiaoxiao, I like you, would you be with me? Li Xiaoxiao responded loudly, I will. Pei Huaizhi watched the two embracing each other, happy for them, but felt an indescribable sourness in his heart. That very night, both sets of parents found out about this matter. At first they were worried, but later felt it was acceptable and saw no issues. Both sets of parents took turns warning Qianyu that he must treat Li Xiaoxiao well, or they wouldn't let him off easily, so the two happily began their romantic relationship. Qianyu is a qualified boyfriend who dotes on Li Xiaoxiao even more. Although the two sometimes argue, both actively work to resolve issues. After graduation, with an uncertain future ahead, Qianyu immediately proposed to Li Xiaoxiao. The house and car in the family are all under Li Xiaoxiao's name, giving her a strong sense of security. 2 years after marriage, Li Xiaoxiao gave birth to a pair of twins, a boy and a girl. Pei Huaizhi also felt that his time was running out. As soon as the twins learned to speak, they pointed at Pei Huaizhi's location, as if they could see him. Mom, there's an uncle over there. Pei Huaizhi was very surprised. Li Xiaoxiao turned her head to look. There's nothing there. Pei Huaizhi made a shushing gesture to the baby. 5. The twins instantly quieted down, when suddenly a gust of wind came from nowhere. Blowing the window open, a voice sounded in Pei Huaizhi's ear. Time's up, you should return now. At the same moment,